welcome everybody to episode 63 of the ADV podcasts. It's good to be back. We took a week off, but we're back in full swing, and boy, do we have a jam-packed episode for you today.
You know, we decided that we want to stay on top of things, right? Mm-hmm. Current things. So I know you're going to expect us to talk about John Cena. That's been covered to death. John Cena put up to a speech. Yeah. Having to say that he apologizing for Taiwan, saying Taiwan is a country.
Well, actually,
the
funny thing is he groveled an apology, but he didn't mention what he was apologizing for because you're not actually allowed to say anything about Taiwan.
Right.
It's like Voldemort.
Right. It is.
You know, when you're dealing with mainland China, you can't even mention it. So you're apologizing for something that cannot be named. It's kind of ridiculous.
It's pretty good. But anyway, that's the extent of it.
Yeah, cool. So let's just jump into it or just saunter into it very slowly. We're going to go for our What's New. We've got a lot to talk about today, a lot of funny things. So What's New? This is where we talk about what's new in China with regards to everything. And, well, we thought we'd introduce you to a new subculture.
Actually, very old
subculture. It's new to many of you out there, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, it's not new at all. Sorry, let me move my mic all over the place here. This subculture is something that both of us witnessed a lot, especially when I first got to China.
Yeah.
I've actually got a clip we're going to show where I ran into these guys back in 2006. Or maybe it was 2007, whatever, it doesn't matter. But these guys, you used to see them a lot. Mm-hmm. You see them more in the more rural parts of China, to be honest. And when we travel on our motorcycles everywhere, you see them. They're a very specific type of subculture. It's kind of funny. Let's
roll a couple clips before we talk about them.
Well, I mean, here we have the guys in the back. Yeah, we're just going to roll a clip or two here. So let's
do a couple.
Yeah, let's do it. What do we got? I'll get us out of here for a second. Yeah.
Get a little flavor of the music.
Oh, the music's terrible. Anyway, for those of you at home, you've got some very interesting, crazy hairstyles. I love this guy. He's amazing. He's their leader.
He's definitely their leader.
Yeah. Some of the most outlandish kind of hair and styles you've ever seen. A little bit reminiscent of, well, I don't know. I mean, it's a mix.
I want to unpack this, but I kind of want to give them a flavor first.
Sure. I mean, look, there's a mixture of what looks like punk. I love this, how he just transforms. Doesn't he look normal there?
He looks normal there.
And then, bam, there he is.
What he thinks is a massive improvement. the Lego hair, it's like ramen Roblox.
It's whatever it is, it's just awful.
And you may be wondering why they're smelling their fingers. We'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
My favorite. Punch. What are you going to do to me? I got white face on, bitch.
Yeah. So actually here we can see, that's me in front walking there. This is way back, one of my first videos. In an underground arcade, because arcades was still a thing back in the early days of China. You still get a few of them around because people don't really have their own space to game at home. Everyone lives in small apartments, so there are arcades, and they're still quite popular. But this is the kind of place you'd find these guys hanging out. We're going to tell you what the subculture is called and everything, but I'll show you. Here was my first interaction with any of these guys. There they are, just hanging out, and had a little chat with them and so on. You can see the crazy hairstyles and stuff. I think we should probably start telling people a little bit about this subculture.
Yeah, so this is called Shamate. Mm-hmm. And Shamate it's kind of like a loan word, or it's actually a play on words, I should say, for smart.
Yeah, smart.
Like, you look smart. You're dressed smart, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, China being a very, not only homogenous society, but homogenous in subcultures as well. Yes. I would say the most popular things you'd be into are basketball. Mm-hmm. If you're a boy, you definitely play basketball. Yep. I've seen the bicycle gang. When I say gang, I mean people that put on spandex and go cycling.
Sure.
You've seen that, right?
Yeah.
The subcultures are just so all-encompassing. You're part of something very specific, right?
Yeah.
So like, people that are into motorcycles that we met, they're only into motorcycles. You're into motorcycles and you smoke cigarettes and drink tea.
Sure.
It's very specific. I don't know how to explain. Like, whereas in the West, you'd have a rainbow of different kind of hobbies that you might be into.
Well, look, here's the thing. Part of Chinese society is, the nail that stands out that gets hammered down. Okay,
right.
And it's very much that way. And so you will find people prefer to follow a safe trend.
Right.
So you don't get subcultures that really stand out.
Yes.
Okay? Except these guys do stand out.
That's the thing. So here's Shamate. Now, Shamate, that music that you play, can you play that little clip of music in the background so people can get an idea? So I saw a lot of people in the chat. I knew this was going to happen.
It's going to be loud. So.
Yeah,
Oh wait, no, I missed it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Back.
It's only like 3 seconds of sound. So when this comes on, just listen to it so you can get an idea. So immediately I saw a lot of people in the chat were confused. They're saying, oh, they must like metal. Oh, they must like punk music. No. Shamate listened to the worst possible techno disco music. I would say it's more like electronic dance music from a very specific era, like a Chinese rip-off, knockoff of dance music.
And mixed in with weird Russian stuff. And it's interesting because you'll be in the clubs where these guys hang out.
Yes.
And you have those happy DJs like, Daja do hao!
Daja do qilai! How high!
Yeah,
and then they drop the beat and it's like, dun, 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 dun. And you get these guys. So Shamate is this weird, it's not punk, it's not metal, it's nothing like this. They are usually migrant workers. And there's this phenomenon in China of migrant workers, they don't make very much money. But in order to leave your impoverished village and go to a place like Huizhou or Shenzhen where we lived, they go and work in factories.
Yeah.
So they go and do this, and they're very lonely, but they tend to group together with each other, especially if they're from the same province. So these guys potentially are from Guizhou or Sichuan, like a province that maybe isn't so wealthy.
Sure.
And they go down to Guangdong, where we used to live, to do their factory work. And there's this weird, pervasive subculture that you'll find, which is Shamate, where they do these loud hairstyles. The girls a lot of times don't even wear makeup, which I found very interesting. And the men will go and do outlandish things, a lot of that spiky hair, a lot of that rainbow hair. But the leader of the Shamate here that we saw, he's going for the more Lego man look. Yeah. He's got this like solidified Lego man hair. I love when he's flexing and the barber. Yeah. When he's like, look at me now, I'm a piece of shit. And he's like, bam, look at my Lego hair now.
Well, like when I first got to China, I honestly thought they were just punks because, you know,
I don't know any better.
I grew up in a situation like, you know, in South Africa, punks were a thing in the 80s and the 90s because they borrow a lot from UK culture. And when I went to the UK, you know, in my youth, you'd see a lot of
punk
punks.
Was a huge thing here.
You see a lot of punks on the train, like real punks. I'm talking about not posers. Like actual, you know, like that's their life. This is not a costume, man.
Right.
You know, those
that
kind of, you know, if you take a photo of them, they want you to pay, and you know that kind of thing, wearing their Doc Martens and like white laces for skinheads and red laces for punks and all that kind of thing. Anyway, this looks to me just like normal punk rock attire when you see these girls over here. But then they've made their own weird mix because the guys don't actually do the punk rock thing. They have more of a KTV host.
It's a KTV host. So we have to, this is why we think it's so interesting to explain to you guys. Yeah. It's the hairdresser look.
Yes.
There's this thing where migrant workers, oftentimes, they'll become barbers when they move to a richer, wealthier city.
They wear those pastel blue, very tight pants that come up to like the sock line.
Right. Know? So there's this thing, and this is a very big thing we could dive into. But in China, you know, in America, like a local person is just a local person. Let's say I'm from LA, right? That person maybe came from Michigan, but they live in LA. No one really cares. Whereas in China, if you are a migrant, let's say you moved to Huizhou, or even when I lived in Baotou, Inner Mongolia, these no-name places, the locals are much wealthier than somebody that will come into the city, right? Yeah. And they're very proud. I've never seen such a segregated society in China where the locals versus outsiders.
Well,
you
they call them Bendiren, Waidiren.
Waidiren, right? Bendiren means a local, Waidiren means an outsider. And there's a whole thing in China where it's very judgmental against outsiders, especially these migrant workers. So they form these kind of weird cliques, right? And that's this kind of outsider look. So in China, Shamate is not... before any Chinese person gets angry and say we think this is like some normal thing, it's pervasive around China, but it's not smiled upon whatsoever.
No,
these are the outcasts.
People hate them.
Unbelievable outcasts. Now we tend to have a soft spot. I remember when I first got to China, I used to go to some clubs and I made like $800 a month or something ridiculously low. So I would go to cheaper nightclubs.
Yeah, I made way less than you when I first got there.
Oh really? Yeah, okay. Maybe $500 or $800 a month. Anyway, it was very low.
Sure.
And so what I would do to go, because I want to drink beer, I want to hang out, meet people, right?
Right.
And my Chinese friends would always judge me for some of the lower end clubs I would go in the beginning because I wasn't being classist like they were. I wasn't going to where the local people go. I was going where the Shamate factory workers, and they were always super nice. Yeah. We'd share our knockoff beers together. I remember the first girl I ever danced with in China, she was a Shamate.
Okay.
A hilarious bunch of people, and they're just a bunch of outsiders that are lonely, and they're out of their own.
Motorcycles are also looked down on in China as a poor man's transport. So what you'd find is the younger sort of wannabe cool kids tend to gravitate towards the Shamate culture. You get a lot of them on the scooter, like little scooter gangs and stuff. So whenever I'd be working on bikes, because I used to go to these little bike shops and work, they'd always be there. So I used to hang out with a lot of these guys, and they are just like kind of salt of the earth,
normal folk. They're pretty normal.
Well,
to be
I'd
honest.
say like the very low level of society.
My point is they're not
they're nice people.
Yeah, they're not like necessarily into anything bad. Is my point. But this hairdresser look that you're seeing, this. Yeah, put it back on Lego Man at the hairdresser. I think here, just roll the whole clips again.
Yeah, he's just ridiculous. I gotta say, this thing they're doing with their nose, I actually don't know.
Yeah, so when I said we're gonna explain it to you, we have no idea. Apparently, it's something that came from K-pop. There's a lot of crossover, and they love Shamate love counterfeit brands. You see his counterfeit Chanel shirt. Yeah, they love counterfeit brands, and they love this tight-fitting, very cheap. Almost like you'd buy clothes from like Goodwill or something.
He's got like the metal spikes, kind of like a punk.
He does. There are elements.
Yeah, elements of punk. This, by the way, what they're doing with their fingers, that's straight out of K-pop and K-dramas and stuff. That just means love. So when someone does that, it just means like, I love you or whatever. Yeah. This holding a rose thing, I don't know. It's kind of a mix of Korean and Japanese host culture.
So
it's a weird
What I wanted to say is that it's actually in the beginning, when Shamate happened in the beginning, when I first came and when you were first there, it was a direct ripoff, a very bad, poor, rural ripoff of a Japanese host culture. Yeah. And now, because of the pervasiveness of Korean music, K-pop, things like that, they borrow elements from that as well. It's actually just an amalgamation of random crap.
Yeah, this peacock-looking hair. In fact,
I've seen that many times.
It actually kind of is peacock-colored.
It is. It looks like a peacock's, not a mane, a tail. Yeah, I almost said mane.
It's not a mane.
This guy's got Lego block mane.
Yeah, it's insane.
But anyway, what I wanted can you go to the white face thing towards the end? Just let it play out. It's fine. Yeah. So you might be wondering why this particular Shamate, the leader here, why his face is covered in white paint. So here he actually looks normal here.
Well, with his drawn-on beard.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to look silly or whatever.
So
he looks much more silly
He's with
after.
Like Ultraman cosplayers in the background holding
which is
roses.
Japanese.
Yeah,
just skipping.
Ultraman is huge in China.
Massive.
It's it was one of the cartoons and things, or like live-action children's things that ever played during the 80s and stuff in the 90s. So a lot of kids love Ultraman. Especially when I used to teach kindergarten back in like 2006-07. They would all, pretend to be Ultraman on the playground. They'd all have the Ultraman bags and lunch boxes and stuff. Ultraman was a huge thing. So
my wife said she grew up watching that.
Yeah, probably from their youth as well, these guys.
Yeah, I mean, even kids with that hour I was teaching, they all watched Ultraman. That's old,
Yeah, it's like
crazy.
From the 70s or something.
The knockoff Ultraman toys are everywhere in China, So you can watch this. This is probably my favorite clip. So you're wondering, why is his face like an alien shape, right? Number one, that's a beauty filter.
Yeah, they use the beauty filter. You can tell actually how the background moves around.
Yes.
And Anyway.
Now, number two, the reason that his face is white is because white is this is a hangover of traditional Chinese culture. If you're brown, kind of like that girl you saw go like this, she would be a very dark-skinned girl, looked down upon, a rural girl. Yeah. So what these guys do, they would come from more tan backgrounds. They could have grown up doing farm work. They spend a bit more time outside. They look
It's more
darker.
low class to be darker. Right. Like you say, it's only laborers and people that have to work in the sun. But, like government officials, royalty, they get to stay inside and be fanned by their servants and stuff. So they have whiter
Correct.
skin.
And so you see the leader Shamate here, he wants to be the royalty. He wants to be the white-skinned boy. I always was curious, and China, you probably saw this a lot too, but I was always curious why they don't finish it. Because it always stops around the chin line, and then you have this brown neck. Yeah. And it always looked very strange, like a Michael Jackson look, right? Sure. So I remember when I was teaching university in particular, you'd have most of the girls from the countryside, right, in some of these universities. And what would happen is that if they had a crush on a boy, right, and they were actually going to like maybe express their love to him or finally like tell him, like, they would dress up in this, previously no makeup. They would dress up in this white face, but it would be completely cut off here. And I always thought that was really interesting. They'd go all out, like crazy dolled up with this white makeup and this just like a clown, and then completely.
You have to appreciate the effort.
I do. I know. And I'm not making fun of it. I always thought it was very strange and interesting because it's
just a different kind of thing. You also have to understand makeup in China is still fairly new.
Sure.
When I first got to China, actually makeup was frowned upon. All of the girls that I dated or that I knew would tell me that if you wear a lot of makeup, it means you're a prostitute. And so they stayed away from it.
It's insane how fast that changed.
It did,
like
of
overnight.
Course.
It's crazy.
And now, like, luxury makeup brands are all the thing, and being made up is very.
You
normal.
have to wear makeup.
But
now,
you know, there was a transition period. And you're talking about that.
Yeah.
Right now, they know what they're doing.
They know, but that was that awkward period, right?
Yeah.
If you go now, like when I was at the end when I was teaching the girls, they all wore makeup to class.
Yeah.
But towards the beginning, it was this very awkward phase of this Shamate looking.
Yeah, but
boy.
the Shamate, this guy, by the way, is relevant because you got this off of his TikTok channel, right?
Yeah.
And he's doing it now, and this is honestly something that I thought had died out.
It was dying out.
Yeah. We have this amazing clip. We got to find it again. It's in one of our videos where they're dancing in the forest.
Can we bring it next time?
Yeah, we're bringing it next.
Yeah.
You got to see these guys dance because it's something else. In fact, it is so hilarious and fun that I kind of want to join in.
I love it. I have nothing to... Again, you know what? Shamate were some of the first people, and like, I'll be honest, China can be a very exclusive society. Yes, as a foreigner, if you walk in, you get curiosity and stuff, but the Shamate were some of the first people that brought me in and actually said, come sit at our table, and they weren't trying to like impress me. They weren't trying to be like, oh, the foreigners here, let's do all this fancy stuff. I was just some dirty backpacker, and they were just some factory workers, and we all had a great time together.
Sure.
It was good stuff. I like the Shamate.
Absolutely. So hopefully you guys now know if you see that stuff floating around the internet or you see pictures of it or something, now you know what it is.
Yeah, because a lot of people I saw on TikTok were asking what the hell is going on.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like scrambling in the comments trying to explain to everyone. I was like, why not do it on the podcast?
Yeah, better that way.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's next? Let's see. Let's get past this.
This ancient.
Yeah, this ancient footage that I shot. I just wanted to show when I actually encountered them myself.
It's more common than you think. You know what? If you go through a lot of our old videos, you will see them in the background, especially go in some of our Jiangxi videos. Yeah. You'll see some Shamate.
Yeah, you will indeed. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay. So we probably need to preface this before we play the clip, right?
Yeah, we need to preface what's happening.
So, as you guys know, on April 1st, I broke the lab leak theory, right?
Yep.
And that's in the news currently.
That wasn't an April Fool's joke.
That was not an April Fool's joke. Yeah. Was called a conspiracy theory and was slandered and demonized by pretty much everyone. It's interesting
to see how everyone's backpedaling on that.
Yeah, but no one credits me, of course. Now, that's not the point. The point is, because it's in the news, China is also putting coronavirus back in the news too. Yeah. Now, here's the issue. China's having a big coronavirus problem right now. Yeah. There was a lot of bluster and cockiness because America was getting hit so bad, especially at the peak of the pandemic, whereas China had already controlled the narrative. Yeah. Coronavirus pockets were breaking out left and right. We got messages from people all the time that couldn't even talk about it.
No, you can't talk about it. So if you can't talk about it, no one's going to know. They're going to think it's fine. And that's an unfortunate thing, is that people living in China are relaxed and they started to just go back to normal, as you would if you are hearing that everything is good. Right. That's the problem, where it's not actually controlled. It's just you don't hear about it when it's breaking out here and there in rural areas, etc., right?
So in the beginning, China was basically trying to combat these rumors that if you ate garlic, you could stop coronavirus. We need to believe in science, blah, blah, blah. But then all of a sudden something changed. Yeah. And something changed in that the Chinese government, because there was no cure for coronavirus, they knew that they could use this as soft power. So when they controlled the narrative and all of a sudden the cases are going down in China and they're going up in the rest of the world, they said, you know why? It's because of traditional Chinese medicine. It's because of this bullshit flower medicine we've created or whatever. And they touted that as a cure for coronavirus. Then the FDA went after it. They're like, absolutely not. This is going to kill people. Yes. Right? Other organizations around the world are like literally in labs going, this is literally made out of flowers and fruit and stuff and leaves. This is not going to cure a massively contagious and very dangerous respiratory illness like coronavirus. So they backed off. And rightfully so. I mean, you can't do that as a governing body. Put yourself behind pseudo science. So anyway, they go, okay, we're all about science. Let's work together. Let's not politicize the vaccine. Let's all work together, join hand in hand. Of course, what did they do? They politicized the vaccine. Long story short, it didn't take them too long to now tout other bullshit methods of curing coronavirus. Because I'm not kidding you, I've been sent this clip so many times on WeChat. It's not even funny. By relatives, by friends, by all this kind of stuff. And guess what it says? Well, let's play the clip.
This is in Chinese, so we're going to be pausing it a lot so that we can translate what's being said here. So let's just get us out of here for a second and let's begin.
从茶叶中筛选到的有效单体分子 EGCG 能够强力结合新冠病毒 S 蛋白，并有效阻断新冠病毒 S 蛋白与人 ACE2 受体的结合。 同时，研究过程发现 ，EGCG 不仅能阻止两者相互。
I just want to basically they're talking about how coronavirus they've got this great way to kind of deal with coronavirus, but how they are justifying that this is great is they're saying it's even being tested with these advanced Western
EGCG, and they have to show that it's GE.
General Electric. So it's going to be correct because they've used these foreign machines.
As much as China wants to be super nationalist, this foreign worship is still pervasive.
It is. It's like, see, this is definitely true because these foreign machines.
This is government news.
Yeah, absolutely. This is on TV. Now let's just get to the heart of this.
结合，并且对已经结合受体的 S 蛋白还有促进二者解离的作用。目前，研究成果已经在昆明市第3人民医院的新冠病毒感染病例中开展临床辅助治疗。
Okay, so now what we're going to hear is we're going to hear a testimonial from a doctor.
To summarize that though, in this hospital in Kunming, in the what's it called, the infectious studies department. They use this machine to synthesize the proteins to figure out a cure or a potential. What's it called? Not a cure, but something that will help.
Yes, help with the symptoms.
With
or help with
the
spread with
help the spread
coronavirus. Prevent the spread and all that kind of stuff. So now they're going to show us what did they discover.
And this is the government.
Yeah, and now we have a doctor on screen who's going to explain exactly what.
A
they
real
did.
doctor.
Yeah, real doctor. Let's take a look at this.
发现，如果把新冠病毒放到水里面，然后再跟茶水混合的话，90%的新冠病毒。
Okay.
Hold on.
I got to explain something. Since I'm drinking tea here, which by the way tastes awful.
Oh, you don't like that brand?
No, I mean just like tea with nothing in it.
Oh, you're a real Brit.
Yeah, you gotta have your milk, and I don't take.
I don't
sugar,
like
but,
tea.
Peasant. Anyway, here's the thing. What they said there is cha shui. Okay, this is important. Cha shui means tea water, but it actually just means boiling.
It can mean both.
Hot
it
boiling
can honestly
water,
it can mean very weak tea.
And it can mean tea itself.
Yeah.
So what happens when they put the coronavirus into this this boiling water?
90% of coronavirus is, as you're going to say in the next sentence, is killed.
Yeah.
But you have to see his methodology after this.
Yeah, let's take a look.
I love his attitude, his positive attitude.
Very, very positive.
见到茶水1分钟就要消失了，就被杀灭了，99.9%，10分钟被茶水杀灭。
So 90% of coronavirus was destroyed in 1 minute, and then after 10 minutes,
99.9% it was all
So
killed.
let's finish his methodology here.
Okay, yeah, then we can explain.
茶叶里面有很多有机物质，各种有机物质、化学物质也有。新冠病毒见到茶以后会被杀灭，所以这个研究呢也提示我们，在新冠疫情流行的这么厉害，多喝茶水是有好处的，或者我们去聚餐、聚集或者人多的时候，可以拿茶水洗洗手，多喝点茶水，可能就有保护作用。
Okay, guys.
Can I just quickly...
Please do.
The last bit there I want to...
We need to translate the whole thing.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But the last bit there where he says, okay, so just drink more tea.
Hot water.
Hot water, tea water. And if you're going to a place where there's a lot of people, just bring some hot water, tea water with you, cha shui. And
we'll just say hot water because most people are going to say hot water.
Yeah. Rinse your hands with it. Okay, and drink it more to protect yourself.
How many times have you heard that in your life, by the way?
Well, hot water is just to cure, yeah.
多喝点热水.
Yeah,
多喝点热水.
Yeah. 热水 is a thing.
茶水,
Anyone who's lived in China knows that 热水 is a thing. But basically, he is touting the effectiveness of how boiling water / tea water has killed coronavirus if you leave it in there. So let me ask you this, though.
Sure.
What viruses are going to survive if you put them in boiling water?
None.
Okay. Is your blood boiling water?
No.
If you drink boiling water, is it going to change your blood into boiling water?
No.
No. This is a doctor on Chinese state media telling people to drink tea and wash their hands with tea water.
Not soap, by the way.
Yeah, and
not soap.
That will protect you from coronavirus because when they put coronavirus into this hot water, it died.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
There's just so many things going on in my head right now.
Yeah.
Why did they need all these machines to find this out? And why is this a revelation?
I don't.
Do you know why? I can tell you why.
Okay, why?
Because in China, there is a very, very poor understanding of viruses and bacteria. To the point where if you go to any public place, there is not soap to wash your hands. It's number one, because people will steal it.
Gets stolen, yeah.
But number two, because there is a very poor understanding. Even in hospitals, a lot of hospitals, you can't even go in there to wash your hands with soap.
Yeah, and the bathroom doesn't have soap.
And the reason being is that that's not really a thing. So this is a revelation. Wait, what do you mean? This new concept that this doctor, probably who's usually touting Chinese medicine from the sound of it, based on what he said with the cha shui thing.
Yeah.
He's now coming to this realization with this fancy new machine that he has, that viruses, now under a microscope, they can see that they die in boiling water. This is on the news.
Yeah.
And it needs to be on the news because the majority of people don't understand how basic biology works. Now, here's the problem with this. The fundamental misunderstanding is not rectified here. Chinese people don't believe, a good chunk of Chinese people don't believe in homeostasis. Sure. So this guy, basically what he's saying is that if you're going around, he says you go to places where there's lots of people, right? Which we're going to see in some future clips here.
Yes.
If you drink this boiling water, then you'll be able to prevent yourself. And that's fundamentally based on qi. This is not based on disinfectant. This is not based on science. This is based on your qi. It's hot or cold. So a lot of Chinese people will drink hot water in thinking that they can cleanse themselves because it will make themselves inside hot. They don't understand that the body will acclimate itself to different scenarios to hold 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, which is homeostasis.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't learn that in China.
Oh, man.
It's Shanghua.
It's Xianghua, all that stuff. You know, you have to understand that Chinese traditional medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, it is based on thousands of years of, traditional medicine. And there is a lot of... medicinal cures that work when it comes to herbal cures and things like that. Absolutely. And of course, there's some merit to it, but not when it comes to treating a virus or something like that. And you also have to understand that it's still very much integrated into the whole hospital and healthcare experience in China. This is a hangover from Mao Zedong's barefoot doctor thing. Yeah. They just didn't have the capability of putting out, how do I put this, like to set up a proper healthcare system. So what they did was rely on sort of TCM doctors to go out to the villages and things like that.
That's absolutely true.
It's so integrated into a current modern healthcare in China that it's something that most people do. Like the clinic my wife used to work in. Not only do they have the Western style doctors, they have the TCM doctors in there too, and people can choose which one that they prefer to go to, and they even mix and match.
That's what I was going to say. Usually they're mixing anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone and asked for Western care, as they call it. It's ridiculous. I just wanted medicine and science.
Sure.
But they will constantly push TCM on me at the same time.
Yeah, they'll give you an antibiotic drip, but at the same time do like gua sha or bao ho guan or something like that, or acupuncture or something.
There's a huge issue because I always say this, but the much poorer countries I've been to compared to China have a much better healthcare system just based on knowledge and professionalism. Because a huge chunk of the doctors in China are just not actually educated. You don't need a PhD to be a doctor in China, and you do need that in most countries around the world. I'm telling you, I was on a bamboo bed in Laos. Literally a bamboo bed, the most disgusting scenario I've ever seen. But the doctor knew what to do and give me proper things. Yeah. Whereas I've not had that experience most of the time in China.
Yeah. No, it's not to bash holistic medicine people and people that believe in TCM and stuff, whatever.
Sure.
That's entirely up to you. It's your choice what you're going to believe or not. But this is dangerous when you have an authority figure like a doctor telling you that drinking hot water, washing your hands with hot water is going to protect you from the coronavirus, because that's what he actually said. He used those words, bao hu, which means to protect you. And he said, he dian cha shui, shi ni de shou, yong cha shui shi shou. This really means use the tea water to wash your hands. Drink more tea water, and you will protect yourself when you go to a place with a lot of people. That's dangerous because it's not the correct advice. It's on TV.
That's what I was going to say. What this tells me, and this is, again, this is not some fringe thing here. This is not some Pinterest article.
No.
This was sent to me by multiple family members and people in China that I know, and people that should know better, to be honest.
Yeah.
This is what this teaches me, and unfortunately, this is the very serious consequence of all this, is that post-pandemic, China's learned nothing.
Yeah.
That's not much has changed here, guys. The wet markets are still there. Not that that's where it came from, by the way, but the wet markets are still there. The lack of hygiene is still there, and now we're still having doctors telling you to use boiling water, drink boiling water in a crowded area, and then you won't get coronavirus. Yeah. Here we go, guys. We are now in 2021 post-pandemic, or almost post-pandemic. Mm-hmm. China says they're post-pandemic. But are they? This is a good lead into what's coming up here in a second.
Well, you see, the propagandists are at it again. Okay. The snake oil salesmen, the awful people that will do anything for a buck. Let's see what our Western friends are up to at the moment, shall we? Let's get ourselves out of here for a second and let's see.
Now I'm here today to tell you about Lianhua Qingwen capsules. These are commonly used to treat influenza and colds, but they've also proven very effective to treat COVID-19.
Okay, wow.
Now that's a big statement if I ever did hear one.
Yeah. So what's effective for treating COVID-19 exactly?
Lianhua Qingwen.
Now, Lianhua Qingwen capsules, I actually took that before in China.
Yeah, it's very
way
common.
before the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's something that's been around. You know what it is? It's a herbal cold medicine.
Can I read you the ingredients?
Yeah, please. Tell us what's inside that.
Forsythia fruit, honeysuckle,
Okay.
honey fried herbs, rhubarb root,
Sounds delicious.
and Radix isatis. It's just herbs.
So it's
and
herbs.
fruits. Yeah.
Herbs and fruits.
Yeah.
So here you have what we call a white monkey. Okay, these guys, you're probably aware of them. They're called the Barretts. It's a British father and son duo who do anything for
They're
money
just
in China.
propagandists.
They go on all these paid trips. They're big Huawei spokespeople. They're part of the new government push for the soft power thing that's happening.
Oh,
You'll
they're
find out-
hugely in bed with the CCP.
So they work for CGTN. They
Yeah.
go around doing all sorts of things. And here you can see them literally selling a herbal cold medicine that's made out of a bunch of random like flowers and
it's
stuff.
literally made of fruits and flowers.
What does he say? But also proven very effective to treat COVID-19.
Oh, but it continues.
Oh, yeah.
Let's watch this ad that they've done.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll put a little bit more in here. Let's take a quick look. So we'll get out of here.
Very effective to treat COVID-19.
This was one of the first medicines to be approved here in China for treatment of mild and moderate symptoms of COVID-19.
Okay, so now that sounds a little bit more reasonable. He says that...
Both of them are reading a script.
Yeah,
so.
of course they are. Okay, but you will find out they're reading a script in a minute. But anyway, let's continue.
During the initial outbreak of coronavirus, these were used to treat nearly 100 million people around the globe.
That thing about them, treating 100 million people around the globe is something you heard from various propaganda outlets.
Yeah, and that's about a year ago.
Yeah, this is when they were trying to push this as a cure.
Yeah, I mean, I've already brought this up in the beginning of when we said this. There was a huge push of the Chinese government when they realized there wasn't going to be a cure anytime soon, that, hey, we can save the world with Chinese medicine. You'll see, actually, I found a clip coming up
let's
here.
Continue.
The results of a clinical trial published in Phytomedicine, a European journal.
Okay, now.
Well, let's see what the journal said.
First of all, we have to set this up because we looked up this article. In fact,
I have it right
we
here.
were made aware of this by a friend of ours who lives in Taiwan. We'll be linking him in a minute.
Yeah.
But he looked it up, we looked it up, and this is an absolute bollocks. It's not a real peer-reviewed, it's not a proper scientific anything. It's just some, foreign website that they posted something on there. Can you just read what the conclusion of this so-called study, the conclusion of the study was what?
If you guys have ever seen a scientific study, you'll know why this is so bad.
Yes.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Results. This is the results after all these numbers and scientific data.
This is what he's referencing. This is the so-called scientific
from Europe,
thing.
the European Journal, which they have to use foreign worship again.
Why does it have to be like, it's only good because a foreign European journal did it, but it wasn't actually. It was just some random post by a Chinese company or Chinese interests posted it. Let's read what it says.
Traditional Chinese medicine is effective in preventing COVID-19, and medical staff can prevent an iatrogenic infection by taking a decoction made based on principles of traditional Chinese medicine. Okay. As of March 13, 2020, new cases of COVID-19 in China have decreased in number to single digits. Mm-hmm. Traditional Chinese medicine's curative effect was outstanding, with a national participation rate of over 90%. More than 70,000 people were cured of COVID-19 and discharged from the hospital. This is used in a scientific journal.
Yeah.
Only approximately 10,000 patients are currently being treated, and the total treatment time is approximately 2 months. Here's the conclusion.
Yeah, listen to this conclusion carefully.
Traditional Chinese medicine is currently the best choice for treatment and prevention of COVID-19, and it is expected that it will be promoted by countries around the world.
Right out of the propaganda book right there.
Holy shit, dude.
So this is what this this absolutely immoral snake oil salesman is citing over here, just so you know. Let's continue, see what he says.
Phytomedicine, a European journal, showed that in the treatment of COVID-19, symptoms were reduced by over 90%.
Okay, symptoms were reduced by over 90%. So you're going to take this herbal cold medicine and your COVID symptoms will be reduced over 90%.
You know what won't be reduced?
What?
Your corpse symptoms.
Yeah, let's continue.
So there you have it. That's exactly why you should be picking up Lianhua Qingwen capsules to stay safe.
Oh my gosh. Now this is problematic. This is so problematic, in fact.
Why are you using that word?
Sorry, what's wrong with that?
Problematic is the word of the cancel culture.
Oh, well, it is problematic.
Yeah, I would
I'm
say...
not canceling it, but it's just problematic.
It's not only problematic, it's immoral, and it's awful what these guys are doing. Look what he says. Lianhua Qingwen capsules to stay safe. Pick these up. You're going to be safe if you have this herbal cough medicine. And these white monkey jobs are not meant for us foreigners.
No.
These are meant for local Chinese people because they look up to people like this. They look up to foreigners, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about this a million times. It's incorrect. We don't agree with it, but the white worship and the foreign worship thing is real in China. These people are selling a bullshit snake oil thing, cure for COVID, to vulnerable people who are going to now take their word for it because they look up to them. And the corpse guy said that it was inside of a medical journal from Europe. So they're going to look at this. It's all subtitled in Chinese. They're going to read it and they're going to be like, oh, this foreign stuff that's been in foreign medical journals, this is good. We're going to take this. This will help my COVID. I believe in this now. These guys are taking advantage of the weak and vulnerable people doing something like this. And it shows you just how low they will stoop to, because this is not selling some bullshit product. This is something that can affect people's lives in a big way. Because if you're starting to get COVID symptoms and you've seen this, and you go out and you say, okay, I know what to do. I'm going to get these Lianhua Qingwen capsules and eat them, and then my symptoms will go away 90%. Meanwhile, it gets worse, and you don't seek proper medical treatment by going to the hospital, you could die. You know, what they're doing is illegal. In another country, they would be locked up for this. But in China, it's okay to lie like this and to mislead people. It's disgusting. You know, that's all I got to say about that.
That's
really.
You didn't let me say why it's problematic. So I'm going to say.
Sorry, I had to.
This is why it's no. I'm happy you said it.
Why is it problematic?
It's because you didn't let me use that word.
Sure.
So this is why it's an issue. That's all.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
I didn't know. You're censoring me because I didn't know that was a bad
Go ahead,
word.
use problematic all you want.
Okay, it's an issue. It's an issue,
Right.
and I'll tell you why.
Right.
It's so much of an issue that when this guy that we know from Taiwan puts up this video about this thing to lambaste, not them, but to lambaste the principle that someone could be selling snake oil like this and damaging Chinese people. You're literally a white monkey that doesn't understand anything about medicine, like you said, damaging Chinese people that are vulnerable to a lot of people that don't understand anything about virology or biology in general.
Yeah.
He talked about why this is damaging, and YouTube removed the video. Do you know why? Because of COVID misinformation.
Yes.
They thought this was a promotion of this. Yeah. And the whole world is very against Lianhua Qingwen as a treatment.
You know that the
Lianhua
Qingwen is actually on a list of fraudulent COVID-19
because it is.
Now, here's the thing. Let's play a quick little clip of
from
the
his
guy
video,
who sent us this in the first place. We got to give him a shout out, and I would like everybody to please go over and give him a sub if you don't mind.
Yeah, his channel's in the description.
Take a look.
Picking up Lianhua Qingwen capsules to stay safe.
The Barretts really don't care what they endorse, as long as they're getting paid for it. I mean, these guys would try to sell you poison if they thought that they could make a buck from it.
Okay, before we continue.
Well, I'm looking large.
Yeah, you are. You're large and in charge all over us here. The guy over there, his name is Lewis. He lives in Taiwan, and he runs a little channel called CCP Shill Busters.
I put the link down there.
If you could go over and maybe subscribe to him and give him,
if you're interested,
give him a little, ADV sent us type thing. It would be really nice.
Yeah.
If you're interested, it's a small channel, but he deserves it because he's going after these guys. But when he put that video is still up of his on the CCP Shill Busters, but he tried to put subtitles into it. okay, in order to warn people in Taiwan, listen, don't buy into what these guys are saying. Like you said, YouTube, because the subtitles were in it, the algorithm picked it up. And it actually removed his video off of YouTube as a community guideline strike, saying that you are pushing misinformation about COVID-19. That's how bad it is. If those guys tried to put that advert that they put together, that's all over Chinese social media, that was blasted out there, try to put it on a Western platform like YouTube, it's actually against the community guidelines. So it shows you what they're doing is so immoral that YouTube removes videos that put that advert on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they consider it very dangerous information, as it is. I'm not overblowing this.
And if you watch, he calls himself Yang Guizi, okay, which means like foreign devil.
Ghost, yeah.
Okay. If you watch his video that he did about this, he shows you the FDA warnings and the fact that it's never passed the FDA trials or anything. He's got that all in the video. That's why I suggest you go take a look at it.
Yeah,
his link is
go
in the
watch it.
description. And he deserves a shout out for bringing that to our attention. So anyway, it doesn't stop there though, because that same bullshit that you've just heard those two snake oil salesmen put out there, those immoral people, it's kind of a common thread. Shall we see what this known Chinese propagandist has to say?
Well, yeah, so this is way back then.
Yeah.
And I covered this, and I just, right before the podcast, we remembered that I covered this. So let's watch what she says.
Okay, let's see.
To know that the traditional Chinese medicine, with a history of thousands of years, have played a very significant role in this war against virus. According to the statistics, over 90% of the confirmed cases in China have received the Chinese medicine treatment. And the overall effective rate is as high as 92%.
So 92% of people in China recovered or were cured of the coronavirus because of Chinese medicine. And she's going to tell you what medicine that is.
As China continues to export its experience to the world, the Chinese medicine is saving lives in more and more countries. Among medical supplies that China donated to Italy, Iran, and other countries, there are two traditional Chinese medicine, Lianhua Qingwen and Jinhua Qinggan, which are derived from two ancient prescriptions that have a history of nearly 2,000 years.
Yeah, okay. We cut it short, but you know what else she said? Is she read out that TCM is currently the best choice for the treatment and prevention of COVID-19 and is expected that it will be promoted by countries around the world. It's that exact same fake, false bullshit study that's put up on that one random website by China interest groups. And it just shows you, these guys all have a script. Those white monkeys are given a script. She's got the same script. All the propagandists have the same script. And these people are willing to do anything for money.
Yeah.
You cannot trust a single word that they say. If they're willing to put people's lives at risk like that, never mind the millions of other nonsense white monkey jobs that they've done in the past, and we've got plenty of them, selling fake knockoff N64 stuff, and it's selling products they don't even know about. Like I said, if you want to see more about this, go watch that video linked below.
Yeah, it's good.
Wow. Anyway, let's get back to the whole COVID thing.
So I was leading off of the whole cha shui thing, the hot water thing, and I was very curious. I've been talking to some people that have been telling me very conflicting things. So I have some friends up in Dongbei, which is northeast China, and some Chinese friends up there, and they were telling me how they're not even allowed to talk about the current cases that are exploding up there. I have another friend. This is the third time that's happened now. A third person that has contacted me and said their local hospital is full. Right? And it's to the point where the cops are going around and actually threatening people again. Remember, we thought we'd see an end to this. Again, for going on group chats and WeChat and saying that there's COVID cases, so be careful. So people warning each other, hey, we think there's COVID cases in our town, in our city, in these areas of Liaoning and Jilin province.
Yeah.
They're getting in trouble and getting warnings and letters now again from the police saying don't spread misinformation. They're doing exactly what they're doing in the beginning. Except this time it's so tightly controlled and the punishments are so worrying that in the beginning you saw a lot of leaking of coronavirus information because so many people didn't know what was going on and they were freaked out. Now the narrative is so tightly controlled by the police and by the local authorities and everything that it's terrifying for people to want to tell people stuff. So they told me this stuff in confidence, right? And do you know why this is happening? Is because there is public information that coronavirus is back in China, and it's happening out of Guangzhou. This is born out of Guangzhou. Now, Guangzhou is a huge city in Guangdong province, massive, and it was so pervasive and prevalent there that the information leaked. So the government had to admit that there were cases.
Well,
there.
they shut down 2 districts, right?
Yes.
Not only that, but now traveling, like anyone who's been in Guangzhou, basically near any of those districts, cannot travel to certain parts of China.
Right.
You know, when they actually went and put out a thing where everyone in Shenzhen, which is, you know, the city is about an hour's drive away where I used to be, had to get tested and stuff. You have to understand that when they're mobilizing this massive effort to try and stop this, it's not because there was 1 or 2 cases.
No.
This is something big, and it sparked off a panic.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was sent this footage.
Yeah. Well, before we even get
sure.
to this, I was speaking to some of my old doctor friends. Remember, I used to train doctors.
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, I used to train them in hospital etiquette, rules, basic English, various different things, medical terminology, and I still keep in contact with a lot of these people. Now, they've been telling me that, in confidence, I'm not going to tell you who they were. Obviously, don't want to get anyone in trouble because that's how China works. But here's the thing. They've been trying to convince people to take the vaccine for a long time, their patients. Now, here's what's happened. It's become very complacent because as the Chinese government has been telling the world forever, we've beat COVID. It's done.
Right.
Everyone's back to normal. Life's back to normal. You can do what you want. It's cool. Don't need to wear a mask. Do whatever you do.
Don't even need to get the vaccine.
No.
The Chinese vaccine, which is only 50% effective, by the way.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of people initially, they got like the first dose. You're supposed to have 2 with the Chinese vaccine.
A lot of people didn't
even
get
8,
it, though.
but whatever.
Yeah.
Thing is, a lot of people didn't get it. Some people got 1 dose.
Yeah,
but then they just became complacent about it. And they're like, it's
the government.
gone.
When the government lies, these are the real world implications of that.
So it's like, I don't need the vaccine.
Yeah.
So they were sitting in a position where it was very difficult to convince people to get the vaccine. All of a sudden, when the news of these Guangzhou outbreaks happened, everybody wanted the vaccine, and they wanted it now.
Let's see
what's going on in China right now when it comes to vaccines. And all of this footage comes from about a week, kind of within the last week or so.
Some of these clips were sent to us by people.
Yeah, so let's take a look.
Acquaintances.
Yeah, let's see.
This is in Huizhou, where I lived.
Yeah.
Look at the lines and the lack of masks on some people here. This is how coronavirus spreads, my friends.
Yeah,
wall-to-wall people
the
clamoring.
Stupid thing is like when you have an potential outbreak and you've got people getting infected, what do you want to do? Go hang out, right? Like touching people? Look at this.
Oh, by the way, if you watch any of these pro-CCP guys' channels, COVID is done. It's completely under control. And Chinese people, they wait in line because they're civil and everything's under control, and the government makes sure that everyone has got a ticket and they're going to wait in line patiently, and they're all social distance. Let's have a look at what that actually means.
Well, I mean, for those of you sitting at home, there are massive crowds of people all touching each other, bumping into each other, undulating mass of people rushing to get the vaccine.
Right.
I mean, literally running. Okay?
Right.
You can't make this up.
No.
They want that vaccine so bad that they are running.
This is in multiple cities, by the way.
It's all over. They want to be first in line. They got to get in there. People are literally hugging each other, pushing each other, shoving each other, touching each other.
The coronavirus is done. What are you talking about? This is what under control looks like.
This is what's gonna. This will be a super spreader event if ever.
No
I've seen
shit.
one.
Look at it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird setup. You would think that lessons would have been learned.
We know better that they wouldn't. I mean, you got doctors telling people to wash their hands with boiling water and when they go to crowded areas.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, this is what happens. In China, the narrative's always lost. It's too chabaduo. It's too half-assed. Everything's very half-assed in China, when the way government runs things.
Yeah, exactly.
So when something's under control, the reality is this, right? Even under this surveillance state, we're still getting footage like this.
Yeah.
It's out of control, guys.
Yeah, and you can see from the signs, you can tell where all of these things are taking place. And we've got southern China, we've got northern China, we've got western China, we've got eastern China. It's all over. It's not like just down in Guangzhou or Shenzhen or something like that. It's all over the country. Because this stuff does spread on social media. And then all of a sudden people are like, holy crap, we need to go get our vaccine. It's like when the Fukushima thing happened and everyone heard a rumor that salt will, prevent radiation from...
They bought all the salt. Salt became like $80 a pound.
It was massive, like rushes for salt, and it was just intense. So...
And people spitting in each other's mouths here.
Yeah.
Without masks on. Spreading coronavirus as you do.
Yeah.
we want to play all this. I mean, there's actually way more.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to make the whole podcast. But have a look.
The thing is, it's the pushing and the shoving. Look, you can tell a lot of these are the lost generation aunties and uncles, but there are younger people in there too, you know? Yeah. It's just this crazy, massive rush to, I'm going to get my vaccine. Here, a woman's being pushed over and thrown down to the ground, you know, so that almost trampled so that people can get in there. When you've witnessed this kind of thing in real life, this doesn't surprise you?
There's some Wumas in here that are saying these are racist lies.
Oh,
I forgot. All these videos are CG. Yeah. These are all computer graphics videos, right?
Correct, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like, we just wanted to give you so many people have been asking us for an update. I would say a good mix of panic and a good mix of very tightly controlled narrative. And again, when the Chinese government continues to lie, and they do this all the time, whether it be about human rights atrocities, poverty alleviation, there's always people that get hurt from the lies. Because when everyone says, because the whole propaganda, right, was that the Chinese government went out there, they said, COVID's done. You stupid ass piece of shit Western countries, go wallow in your filth, right, you idiots. You're the ones that let it get out of control. Tight controlled government, this is what prevents the spread, right? Yeah. So you see a country like the U.S. and European countries develop the vaccine, and then cases go down, and to the point where we have completely normal lives now, right?
It's back to normal, by the way.
It's back to normal.
Here in Long Beach, we can go to a restaurant if we want. If you've been vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask in public anymore.
Yep.
Life is back to normal.
It's back to normal.
Say, like obviously, people are still a little more cautious.
Of course.
And a lot of places, you still have to wear a mask to go in. But
by and large, the cases are dwindling.
Yeah.
They're very low. And that's what happens when you have real world science.
Yes.
Right? Real world science or real world methods to deal with something. Yeah. Yes, it was a mess, and yes, it was not perfect.
Yeah.
But this is what happens is eventually the lie in China, it catches up with the average person. And that's what sucks. Just like with the poverty alleviation thing, it's illegal to say there's no poverty, or that there's still poverty. So then they take away the charity programs. They take away the food donations and stuff because people actually still need them, but they're not allowed to be poor anymore. In China, you're not allowed to have COVID anymore, so they don't report it in these cities in Dongbei that I'm talking about. You're not allowed to say that you have it, and you're not even allowed to warn people about it.
Sure.
You have mass panic that people want to get the vaccine after you told them to celebrate, go to massive pool parties, go mingle for the camera for propaganda campaigns so we can brag to the West about how free we are and how we defeated COVID. Now they're all clamoring to get a vaccine because there's outbreaks in China. It's the irony, and it sucks, and it's an I told you so gotcha moment, but it sucks, and it's not something you want to be right about.
This is a mechanism that the Chinese government uses, which we're going to see when we talk about in our world news segment.
Yeah.
Anyway, can you explain to me what this building is behind us here?
This is supposed to represent Fudan University in Hungary.
Okay, all right, but that should be in international news. What's that doing over here?
It can be wherever it wants. We have too much stuff.
Yeah, okay. All right, this is just a little bit of humor. We thought we'd bring in a little bit of humor.
I thought it was funny enough to go into what's new.
Yeah, so as they just built this new Chinese university.
So, yeah, there's a lot of pushback against this Fudan University being built in Budapest.
Yes.
And the problem with it is that the central government of Hungary is quite pro-China in that they like the money that comes from China.
Sure.
Now, the mayor of Budapest is not pro-China. He's not a big fan of genocide and not a big fan of stifling democracy.
Right.
So what was his plan?
Well, he put up some street signs and he renamed the streets near the university. And the first one is the Dalai Lama Street. The second one is, by the way,
this is
Uyghur Martyrs Street. This is in a different language, so it's a bit difficult sometimes. But yeah,
it's in Hungarian.
And this is the
Hong Kong Hong Kong protesters street.
Right, excellent.
So those are the three that I found. Now the thing is, he's trolling China, which is we're in full support of. We just thought that was hilarious. Imagine all of these students that go over there and then they have to read that every day.
Yeah, I know. Because if you ever want to poke the dragon, as you just mentioned, those sensitive topics such as Taiwan or Tibet or that kind of thing, and it's going to make them mad, but they can't do anything about it, which is kind of fun. You know what I mean?
Certainly.
Okay, good. So let's take some super chats before we move on to our next section. So.
Belton Road says, I'm sorry, that wasn't actually the first one. The first one is from where is it here? I have it. All right. I'll do Belton Roads first. Welcome back, gents. Glad to see you after a week of awful content from other creators.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Sorry, JPN says The Hollywood Reporter wrote an article from deal frenzy to decoupling. Is China-Hollywood romance officially over? Is this a sign Hollywood has woken up to China is poison or not? Maybe it might take a little while.
It's going to take a long time.
Wing
it's
Zero,
still a big market.
Yeah, Wing 083 says a few of these people look like Jack Ma dressed as a troll doll.
Oh yeah, the Shamate.
Oh, okay, I don't think they look the same.
No.
Benjamin Wood says, "Hey guys, I just watched a terrible video made by Daniel Dumbrill slandering you as racist. You need to shut him down." That's
Absolutely
not how we operate.
Oh, look, for anyone who's asking about this ridiculous video that's come out, it's very straightforward. This guy's an obsessed stalker of mine, and he has been for years. He tweets about me multiple times a day. And he's seeking my attention, and he has been by trying to, I don't know, insult me into a debate or something, get his followers to harass me and harass my friends and other followers into debating him. The guy is a complete lunatic, all right? He hates Western civilization. He hates the West. He hates everything that's not an authoritarian government. I'm not going to engage with the guy. I don't care. It's very easy for people to go out there and label someone a racist or a white supremacist in order to shut them down. It doesn't work on me. You can call me racist all I want. All of you, our audience, are smart enough to watch our videos and make up your own minds as to what we are. You don't need some complete lunatic obsessed cyber stalker trying to tell you how you're supposed to think.
I also don't think life is an MMA fight. I think a lot of people want to see all this drama and stuff.
No.
The people are saying, what do you think about this? I'm so shocked. Are you shocked that a mafia government and their sycophants went after us when we speak out against the CCP? It's the most immature and immoral government in the entire world, maybe save for North Korea. Yeah. Why are you surprised that their little minions are going out in mincemeating and picking apart our videos to make us look bad? It's immature. Yeah. Why would you respond to that?
Yeah.
It's absolutely
very easy to take anyone's videos out of context, cut them up, put them out there, and build a straw man argument.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to respond to him. I'm not going to engage with him. I'm not going to do anything because that's what he wants. He is looking for my attention. He is an obsessed cyber stalker. And you don't encourage obsessed cyber stalkers.
No.
So as far as I'm concerned, that's the first and the last I'm ever going to say about this. So let's move on, shall we?
Hold on. Tornado Brick says, Kalsarikanit, which is Finnish for pantyhose. I don't know why he said that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Okay, we'll save those for next.
Okay, we're going to move on to
continue
our
to send
next...
super chats. We're just moving on.
Yeah, obviously we have to now do our soft power hour where we talk about how China is trying to change your mind through various different ways. Okay, now I gotta get here. I'm getting it. Give me a second. I'm losing track of what's going on here. Be up in a second. Okay, we went through this, and finally.
Well,
there we go.
Yes.
Okay, what's going on here?
So this is Qiu Ziming. And Qiu Ziming, he's a pretty big influencer in China.
He's got like how many?
Couple mil.
Yeah, a couple million followers on Weibo?
Yes.
Okay.
So he's like kind of a commentator.
Yeah.
He's whatever. He's not harmful or anything. He's not he doesn't have outlandish opinions. He's a very normal
just
guy.
An influencer.
Yeah. So what happened is he is the first victim of a law that we've been talking about. Well, at least I alluded to in the previous video. And that is the law against slandering martyrs and questioning official statistics about casualties and deaths. Right. Can you explain that law?
Well, basically, this ties in very good with what we've just talked about, the coronavirus. China does not want official figures to get out because it will rile up the populace. Just imagine what the Chinese populace would do if they found out that there were a lot of coronavirus cases nearby, right? Or in the same province or in the same city. There'd be pandemonium. I mean, we see how crazy it gets just when people hear about, oh, there's something happening in Guangzhou, everyone rushing out to get the vaccines. And the Chinese government's main focus is to hold on to power and keep a stable society, as in harmonious society, as in everybody has to be in this ignorance is bliss state. They don't need to know that there's something bad going on, because if they do, it's going to cause unrest, and that's the last thing that they want, right? So not only do they do this with hiding things like coronavirus statistics or bad GDP numbers or whatever the case. Now, if there's any kind of military conflict, you are not allowed to speculate how many people died, okay, or speculate the outcome of any military conflict. This obviously is something that they're preempting. Because if there is an armed conflict with China and another country, and a lot of Chinese soldiers are killed, that's going to take morale away. It's going to have the one-child policy families revolt against the Chinese government because their single children are being killed. Okay? So they don't want that out there. So they want to be able to be in a situation that if there's an absolutely horrendous defeat or a disaster or a little skirmish happens and let's say like 1,000 PLA soldiers are killed, they don't want that information to get out there in public. So they want to be able to do whatever they need to do damage control and so on. So if you, as a Chinese citizen, go online and you say, there are 1,000 people that died, or I suspect that 1,000 people died because I suddenly can't contact 1,000 of my friends, they can put you in jail for this spreading rumors and questioning official statistics. And what was that thing about martyrs again? Like disrespecting martyrs or something?
Slandering heroes and martyrs.
Slandering heroes and martyrs. That's the reason why they have this law in place.
Yeah, so I'll explain what happened to him.
What happened
so
to this
Chiu
guy?
Zeming, what happened was he was talking about or commentating on the clash that happened between India and China.
Yeah.
Over the Himalayan region, right?
Yeah.
So 20 soldiers were killed in that conflict from the India side. So India reported on that. They said 20 of our soldiers died.
Yeah.
And then China, diplomatically acknowledged that, right? Then China sat on this for ages and then eventually released and said, we lost 4 soldiers.
4 soldiers, yeah.
Right. Now, whatever, right? Like, that is what it is. The problem is that Chiu Zeming on his Weibo, he said, I suspect that more Chinese soldiers probably died. Not to slander anything.
No.
Just he was saying it's a bit weird,
It's
right?
a bit weird that only 4 people died, but 20 Indians died. And the thing is, the Indian side was saying that a lot more Chinese people died.
Yeah,
They were
China
actually,
they just wouldn't have.
No, that's the thing. Like, so you've got one side saying, yes, we lost 20 people, but we also killed X amount of them.
Right.
And China's like, nah, we just lost 4 soldiers.
So he got arrested for slandering martyrs.
Just because he questioned the number.
Yeah, and this is a test run for their new law.
Yeah.
So basically, going on in the future, and this is the funny thing. Yeah. You might think this is trying to be covered up, and they China thinks this is embarrassing. They don't want this to get out there that they're arresting a blog poster.
Sure.
Oh, they do. This is posted on all over Chinese internet. I translated this from Chinese article.
Yeah.
They want people to know about this. Do you know why? Because it scares people from talking.
They want people to be scared. They don't want people talking about these kinds of things. So this is one of those example show trials, basically, that they put out there to warn everybody. You don't do this, okay?
Right.
So
8 months in jail.
Everyone who supports this government has to realize, have you ever questioned your own government? Have you ever made a post on your Facebook or anywhere that said, I hate Trump, or I hate Biden, or I hate...
It doesn't have to be that general.
It doesn't... You could say, like, I hate the roads in my neighborhood, because us taxpayers shouldn't do this. You do realize that kind of thing, where you go out and complain about your government, is a part of Western freedom. It's something that should be cherished.
It's how you hold them to task.
Yeah, this is something that doesn't exist in China, okay? There are ways to bring up complaints with the government, yes, but you can't go out there and insult the government. You can't say, like, I fucking hate the local government here in Texas or whatever for not doing this. I really hate my local government, or I really hate this congressman, or I really hate this politician. You can't do that in China, because when you start to slander or attack or do any kind of like bad mouthing of an official or something in China on the internet, on your private Facebook, basically, your Weibo or something, you can go to jail. All right. So for everybody who's thinking that, oh, China really does things well, remember that. Think to yourself, have you ever put out an insulting post against a part of your government or the police or the military or anything like that? Because you can't do that in China. Remember that. That's the one thing that people seem to forget all the time. Look at this guy. How long did he get again? 8 months?
But maximum 3 years.
8 months to 3 years for making a post questioning how many people died in that conflict between India and China that happened on the border there. Dude, like, seriously.
Yeah, that's what you get in trouble for.
What the hell?
Yeah.
People call out the American government all the time. In fact, it's like a hobby over here. People go out and protest, and you see on all their things, and they talk about, like, oh, America's so bad because of Israel, or America's so bad because of bombing the Middle East, or America's so bad, this and that. And you can do that. You have the freedom to do that. You can go out and criticize your government, and you can put your point forward, and you can be heard. And you do not get locked up for 8 months to 3 years. all right, like this poor guy did. And he's just a social media influencer. It's like you or me, or anyone, any Instagrammer out there, anyone who posts on their Facebook. It doesn't matter who you are, big or small. You have the chance of being arrested for putting your opinion online.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very well said.
That's pretty much Soft Power Hour.
It is.
Guys, let's take some more super chats, and then we're going to get on to some kind of hilarious stuff.
Tiananmen Massacre says, if U.S. proves that COVID-19 originated from China, the Belt and Road Initiative countries have an excuse to default the Chinese debt trap, and I recommend they do.
Yeah.
Wonka45, Chad ADV, like ChadV.
Nice.
Media destroys Virgin CCP. There's a couple of memes going around out there.
Pretty
about
funny.
That.
Yeah.
Drayton Blackgrove, thank you. Drayton Blackgrove, thank you again. Tree Theodore, what's up? Good work. Thank you, Tree. Appreciate it. John Wagner, keep up the tremendous work, guys. Thank you. Case Closed 93. Did you guys see Daniel Drumbrill's video on you guys?
Yeah, we spoke about that already. Guys, again, we're just going to skip over anyone who's asking us. We'll mention your name, though, and say thank you for the super chat. We've already addressed it. The guy's an obsessed cyberstalker. I met him in real life. The guy's unhinged, okay? If you look at his Twitter feed, he just goes after me day after day after day. And I guess he just snapped finally, and he put it all of his tropes and little things he takes out of context and his straw man arguments into a video.
Yeah.
Remember, it is the directive of the CCP to silence people like myself and C-Milk, and they'll go to any lengths possible. So what you're going to see, and what you do see, are these waves of attacks against us to try and deplatform and cancel us. And so they're trying a new tactic. I mean, It's very easy to try and shut up a white person by calling them racist. Doesn't work on me.
Sure.
But that's just a thing that little path they decided to go down. And guess what? They can do it all they want. It doesn't change anything, because we know that you watching us are rational enough and have your own minds that you can make up about us. And if you don't like us as human beings, it's entirely up to you. And if you like us, we appreciate that. Anyway,
Thanks.
We're not going to answer anything more about that disgusting lunatic cyberstalker. And in fact, I would have to get a restraining order against him if he lived in the same country as me.
Yeah,
he is obsessed. It's terrible. Anyway.
Trippy Liquid says, is the nose thing like a drug thing? Maybe ketamine or something more? Gross? Nah.
Yeah,
Grant, have you guys read the Fauci emails? If so, what are your thoughts? It's frustrating the lab leak stuff was suppressed because Orange Man bad. We're going to talk about that in the future when there's a little more progression on that.
Yeah.
We don't like to be mid-news.
Yeah.
Hunter B, been watching for years, first time live. Even met you in San Diego randomly in 2019. Question,
cool.
If CCP fell, hypothetically, would you still cover China or move on to a new topic? Of course we'd cover China.
Dude, we're not just covering China because of that. We have a lot invested in China. You have to understand that.
Do you think, Tiananmen Massacre says, do you think the withdrawal of U.S. troops in Afghanistan will expose China to terrorist attacks? No, I don't think so. Return to Orc Monkey.
Oh, good.
He's back.
Fantastic.
You. You listened. I'm always interested to learn about different subcultures like Shamate in China.
They're cool,
Thank you for highlighting them.
I actually really like them.
I had never heard them.
It's pikey as all hell, but I really like them.
Jonathan Case says, Matt, you were ahead of the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, only by like 8 months. Thank you. GetLow5. Yo, I hope you guys are doing great. Have you visited Ventura and Santa Barbara area? Of course. It's really beautiful up there.
Dude.
Anyway, thank you for all that you guys do. I just got my two Cheats Hit the Clown.
2 Cheats Hit the Clown. Nice.
T-shirt. It's awesome. Thank you. And yes, we hang out there quite often. Jansa Anfroy. Thank you. Mike Hunt. If your wives went back to China, we don't answer questions about our wives.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Minimus Max. Have you either had any motorcycle mishaps while filming ADVChina?
Yeah.
Yeah,
a couple times.
Of course.
I mean, I've never laid it down. You did once.
I crashed once.
And then
I've crashed multiple times, but I crashed once
southern China,
on a trip.
You crashed at that kind of like I don't know, that little fall down on the dirt road.
Sure, I just skidded out. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It got a little hurt.
Yeah, nothing big.
No, I broke my knee crashing my motorcycle in Huizhou.
Yeah, those are very unique circumstances.
It was very rainy. Dubabub. Will you make the video soon about translating pamphlets and propaganda hidden in plain sight in Chinese stories? Stores, sorry. Greetings from Germany.
Absolutely. It's going to happen one of these days. I just get ticked off when I see it in public, all around California where I go. And if you go to an Asian supermarket and stuff, you quite often see blatantly, here's how to break the law. But it's just written in Chinese and people don't see it.
There is anti-CCP stuff too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I'm not saying that's all that's there, but when I see that, it annoys me because just imagine if someone put up a thing in English saying how to cheat on your taxes, call me, that's basically what you see. how to get a fraudulent visa, call me. When you see that kind of stuff, you're like, come on, guys. Like, they're hiding behind a language barrier here that shouldn't be something you hide behind.
Right.
Everybody should be held to the same standards when you live in a place like America. You should all follow the law.
Thank you, Ikaban. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Jansa. Nina Nagatomi says, this is my very first super chat.
Wow.
You guys are awesome. I lived in China for 4 years and I have mixed feelings about China. I love the people, but I hate the CCP. And
thank you. Welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club.
And thank you very much for choosing us for your first super chat.
Breaking the seal on us. Trickidus Kufo 13IC. I want to make some buttons and cloth patches to give out and raise awareness. Chinese equals good. Chinese government equals shameless Orwellian Nazis, as you should. KT Ong. Cotton was cringe.
Yes.
You better push the button.
Oh, yeah. Where is that? Okay, wait for it.
But the way she tried hard to say bounce is worse.
Yeah, I think bounce is probably worse.
Can I say something about that? Thanks for reminding me, KT Ong. She removed the cotton video, the cotton rap. It's back. She brought it back.
She brought it back. It's the most popular video.
It is.
So I don't know why she got rid of it. Like, that's her claim to fame.
I know. It's gonna blow up.
Yep.
Same person, Trickster13. I'm worried about the big X over the Chinese flag will read as anti-Chinese instead of anti-CCP. And I also don't think you should do that. No. Any suggestions for symbols or words in Chinese or English that I can use to express solidarity? I think the chat will help you out there. Yeah. There's a lot of Chinese people watching us right now. So, Davian Grant, thank you. Tenzin Wangcheng says, stop spreading racist propaganda against China. I urge you all to come to China and see for yourselves. Dude, this is a propaganda playbook. Awesome. Thanks for wasting CCP money on us.
Yeah.
It is very much advanced and well-regulated. SerpentZA and his boyfriend are lying for money. This is funny. This is a perfect copy-paste.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, let's break it down quickly.
Yeah.
So stop spreading racist propaganda against China. There's nothing racist talking about the CCP and its policies and the problems with Chinese society. All right? You got to understand. Chinese is not a race, it's a nationality, okay? It's kind of weird. I love Asia. I mean, my wife's Asian, she's Chinese, obviously, but I'm enamored with Japan, and I'm enamored with South Korea, and I love all Asians
Taiwan
from all over the world, Indians. It's not about race. And it's interesting how they've tried to put this thing together where if you are critical of the Chinese government or Chinese society, things that are bad in Chinese society, suddenly you're racist. It's kind of like if you were to complain about America's warmongering or something, all of a sudden you're racist against white people.
Yeah, that's what that means.
It's ridiculous.
It's
like, so you
logic.
can't criticize, if you criticize Biden,
right,
suddenly you're racist against white people.
Yeah, if you say, I think Biden should stay out of the Middle East, right? Then all of a sudden now all white people in Europe are also demonized and you hate them.
You see, it's very clever what they've tried to do here.
Yeah.
And we're going to point it out every time. The Chinese people and Asian people do not equal the Chinese government.
No.
And they try so hard to do this. That's why they put out these stupid videos trying to call us racist and stuff.
Because it works in the West.
They want us to stop criticizing the Chinese government. That's their end goal.
They're so insecure and
with
weak.
Chinese society, that's the thing. There are plenty of big problems which are born from all of the government, things.
The government is so insecure.
And stuff,
the government's so insecure and weak that they need to try to shut down 2 YouTubers by calling them racist.
It's silly.
We've actually had people that support the CCP defend us from that perspective because they think it makes their cause look bad.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. We've had some big supporters of the CCP that disagree with us, but went out there and said, listen, if the CCP is going to go out to these despicable tactics to try to take these guys down, then how bad does that look?
Absolutely.
Right? The next line says, I urge you all to come to China and see for yourselves.
You can't.
Now, this is, number one, you can't. But number two, this is part of the propaganda playbook right now. It's part of the new softer approach campaign.
Yeah.
So it's this idea that if they hedge their bets on the fact that most people are not going to go to China, then they can use this phrase and be like, you've never been to China, come and see for yourselves. Now, the lazy thing about Tenzin Wangcheng is that he used this against us, somebody that's lived in China for 10 years and 14 years.
I've been to China. I've seen it for myself. I can share my experiences. Not only did I see it for myself, I recorded most of it. That's why you can see in our videos so much of daily life in China. When I talk about a problem, I filmed it. So you see, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to not believe your lying eyes? I don't understand. Are they trying to say...
I'm more just trying to show that
it's funny, but you can't go to China right now. Anyway,
cool. Anyway, Tong Chong says made some money in crypto. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Stay awesome, guys. Looking forward to Uncensored Playboy watch along again.
Yeah.
Get Low 5. DW made a great documentary recently on urban villages in cities in mainland Taiwan.
Yeah.
For anyone interested. Great. Alexander, know about the attempted silencing of the miracle drug ivermectin? Seems very efficacious as both treatment and preventative. Go to COVID-19 critical care website if interested.
Sounds like it could be snake oil too.
Yeah, I heard about it, but it wasn't fully backed by most or all organizations.
Okay. Who knows? You've got to be very careful when you're trying to recommend any kind of cure to anything.
Subtarshi Sengupta, glad to have you guys back. If your time in the PRC, have you come across any powerful female CCP politician?
Yes.
No, I have not. Oh, I have one. I wouldn't say she was regionally powerful. She was a judge, the one that bragged about executing all the drug addicts.
How about that?
And then everyone clapped.
How about that police investigator that came into
our
freaking hotel room tried to get us detained?
Why are there so few women in leadership in Beijing? Social stigma against women leaders. Very chauvinist society.
Yeah, chauvinist society,
for the most part. David Newfield says TCM speeds recovery from mild COVID from 1.5 weeks down to 7 to 10 days, which is the same if you didn't pick up on it.
Absolutely.
Jennifer in California, thanks for sharing your perspectives backed by real personal experiences. Keep it up, guys.
Thank you.
We'll continue in a second.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our Wumao corner, okay, which is when we talk about kind of hate and attacks that we've had and things. But this time it's kind of a funny one. And imagine that. It's actually going to involve our snake oil salesman, believe it or not.
Yeah, a little callback here.
So let's bring this up.
This is great stuff.
Okay. Remember everybody that a while ago we made a video on ADVChina called There Are No Birds in China. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean there are zero birds in China. It's just kind of like when you go somewhere like, oh, there's nothing fun to do in this town. It doesn't mean that. There are fun things to do. It's a very small percentage.
Correct. So the comparison is, compared to the average country you will go to, you will see far fewer birds in China.
Even if you're just going to Hong Kong, which is right over the border from
see a
Shenzhen,
lot more birds.
I remember being shocked because you go sit down at a cafe or something and you got finches landing on your table and stuff, and it's like, wait, what's going on?
It's shocking.
You will notice a drastic drop in birds. In fact, they're almost absent in the cities.
Right.
And you have to really look hard. Meanwhile, where we live here in Southern California, we've got hummingbirds and I got hawks in my tree. And
I literally stood 2 feet in front of a hawk the other day.
Yeah.
It shocked me. I was like, what the heck?
No, I mean, it's just like you cannot look anywhere without seeing birds is what I'm saying. So you get used to it, but when you go to China, you don't. So our favorite snake oil salesman posts this picture on Twitter and he adds, okay, what does he do? He says,
okay. Oh, by the way, these guys can't speak Chinese, so this is where the humor comes in.
Hashtag no birds in China. This is like a gotcha moment for them, right?
Yeah.
So my reply to him was, lol, those doves don't count, you bellend. They're bred, domesticated, and trained to be part of the tourist experience. You can buy food to feed them. You can't see? Show me the wild birds, not artificially placed ones.
So let me tell you what happened after this.
Yeah, sure.
A bunch of people came in there and they're like, what are you talking about? These are wild birds.
Yeah.
Look, it even says, don't feed the birds on the sign.
Well, I mean, no, that's the thing. I came at him because right in the picture, there's a little box that's been placed down there temporarily because this is kind of like a little money-making scheme. Said to him, learn to read Chinese, you moron. It literally says right there, you're not allowed to feed them with food you brought along with you. You need to buy food to feed them, you dolt. It's like saying there are wild elephants in New York because the circus is in town, bellend. Okay, and
let's see the picture.
Yeah, let's go forward a little bit here.
So this says 今节投喂自带失误.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go after someone,
yeah,
especially on Twitter or something, with photographic evidence, you'd think you'd try to. I mean, I know he doesn't read Chinese, even though he's been in China for like 6,000 years. You know, he's a corpse.
Yes.
But anyway, when he was resurrected, whenever he was resurrected from his Tutankhamun. Anyway, so. Hey, long story short, you'd think you'd go and look around to make sure you're not fucking up.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what this actually translates to is you're forbidden from not only feeding the birds, you're forbidden from feeding the birds your own food that you brought
along with you.
So which means this is set up, and we suspect on the bottom it says how much, it's too blurry.
How much, we can't
but it says like how much a bag of food costs. This whole thing is set up.
Well, actually, I'm going to take it back to the original picture. Sorry,
sure.
Go through. In the original picture, you can actually see the man, and he's in
he's scooping the food.
He's up there.
Yeah.
You can see like a cardboard box, and he's got what looks like a shopping basket on top, and he's the one who's giving out the feed. So you had people like, nah, it's just like in New York where they say don't feed the birds. Okay, so then explain to me why everyone is feeding the birds.
Yeah, so you can say, oh, okay, well, fair enough. I mean, people still feed the birds in New York City. The most important is the language that says, don't feed the birds the food you brought. By the way, these are house pigeons.
Yeah, no, these are domesticated pigeons. And you can see all the little children are feeding the birds around there, and their parents are there taking photos and whatnot. That's because it's a touristy thing. It's a money-making thing. You buy a little bit of bird food, and you feed it to them, okay? And you take photos. So if you're going to say this means don't feed the birds, it just shows you how disorderly Chinese society is, that nobody listens to the rules. It's not that. Of course you can feed the birds. You pay people right there.
It's literally a money-making scheme.
It is, but...
So this is the proof that there are wild birds in China. Oh, this is the hawk I ran into the other day.
Okay, but just to get past this whole thing, when you see a don't feed the birds sign or don't feed the animals sign in Chinese, it's different. It doesn't say don't.
This is 禁止投喂. So that means don't feed.
Yeah.
Don't feed the animals, right? It doesn't say don't feed the animals your own brought food from home.
Yeah, it just says don't feed them. Yeah, exactly. So that sign there doesn't mean don't feed the birds. It means don't feed the birds your own food. You have to buy the food from us to feed it to them.
This, by the way, this hawk was massive. The thing, it was like up to my waist. It was huge.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But we see so many cool birds here, even in LA.
I know, it's crazy. Like I was saying, you just see, I've got a hummingbird feeder out back, and the hummingbirds come in there. But the fun part about all this was the people that came to the defense. Okay? Let's look at what they showed. Okay, my balcony, the birthplace of 2 dove chicks exactly 1 month ago. Okay, doves.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay. That's fine. Okay. Now someone else sent another picture as proof. Let's see. Again, that's...
What a surprise.
It's the exact same thing. It's the domesticated doves, pigeons, whatever you want to call them.
House pigeons, yeah.
House pigeons over there that they've got where you can feed them. And there you can see the kids feeding them and getting photos taken. It's the exact same thing. It's a thing. When you go to a kind of a touristy area in China, whether it be a shopping mall or a tourist square, you have these trained doves, which you can then go buy food to feed them.
There was this, we forgot to put it in the YouTube video. There's this guy, I can't remember what city he's in, but he's in China, a foreigner. I think he's American or something. Yeah. And he's like, fuck you, ADVChina or whatever. And he's like, look at these birds. And he shows like this pinned off square of house pigeons.
It's house pigeons as well. It's the same thing that what you're seeing here. So then now these guys are obviously, now they're on hardcore. We got to prove that there are birds in China. I'm going to go out and look for it. So somebody goes out and... tries to
remember the one YouTuber that went out to like 6 a.m. to a nature preserve?
Yeah, to drive by. So wait, here, I know. Here's a video. Someone from his balcony is like, I'm going to show you guys. Look at these 3 pigeons on top of a roof.
We made people go and spend their time to go do
Look
this.
At he's zooming in on 3 pigeons. Okay. All right, fair play. You found some of the pigeons probably escaped from one of those like petting zoo things. And then another guy is like a sparrow, a common bird in China. He's got 1 solitary sparrow. This poor thing's lost, okay? Ambling around in the middle of his like field or whatever. It's just, you can't make this up. It's
wow.
It's ridiculous. I love it.
Is this the insecurity?
Yeah, I mean, the people are going out and they're like, holy shit, I saw a sparrow. I better film this so that I can prove that there are birds in China. This one solitary sparrow. Hang on a second. There are 3 doves on that roof. Quickly, get the phone out. Zoom in. Ha, see, I told you there are birds in China. Come on, guys. You can't understand that there's a little nuance to this. When somebody says there are no birds in China, we don't mean 0. We mean it's very hard to find birds in China, and all the birds that they're using as examples are freaking pigeons. It's like showing rats to say that we've got a wildlife preserve here. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, guys.
We should charge people. We should like start leaving food out so we get rats and ants.
Yeah, just be like, look at this petting zoo. It's just rats and ants. Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny.
Mom, get the camera.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's a rat.
妈，带相机过来。
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Oh,
Anyway, so we just
shit.
thought we'd put that out there for
Sorry.
some fun.
Yeah. Keep the bird hunts up, guys. We love it.
Yeah.
Sorry to waste your time.
Let's hit a couple of super chats
Sure.
and we'll move on to the
Yeah.
next one. Yeah.
Sam M says, I watch left-wing YouTube shows, and Wuma have been all over any discussion about COVID origins. I almost said oranges.
Yeah.
Fellow left-wingers seem susceptible to their BS and don't seem to realize how should we respond. Well, it's very simple. I mean, this is a bipartisan issue at this point. Thankfully, the toxicity of partisan politics in the U.S. has damaged the lab leak research.
Yeah.
But in the background, it's probably always been happening. And what you have to realize is that leftists, ultra leftists, would be susceptible to things that go against a Western narrative in general.
Yeah.
And the easy way to combat that is just let the research come out. I mean, it's not partisan. You don't have to follow any sort of politician. Right. Winston and I support different politicians. So we also agree that it is most likely from a lab leak. This has nothing to do with what we believe on the political spectrum.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, show them us.
Just common sense. And that's the thing from the beginning is, why would people so vehemently dismiss this idea? That's the thing. There's motivations behind it because China's trying to save face. Why would the outbreak of this coronavirus occur right on the doorstep of a virology lab that studies those coronaviruses and modifies them? I mean, you've got to at least, you just have to at least with common sense say that could be a possibility.
Yikes.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't happen anywhere else. It didn't break out.
But you forget
else.
that China has convinced everyone in China. Obviously, there's smart people there, but has convinced the general public that it did originate in the U.S. with zero proof.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Anyway, it's ridiculous.
The Wuma's back.
Oh, what did he have to say?
Tenzin Wangcheng. Kind of love when Wuma's pop in here because they're wasting their money. He's actually giving Canadian dollars. Probably on a VPN, to be honest.
Oh, no, he's probably one of those parachute kids in Canada.
Could be.
Very possibly.
Again, know a lot of very good first-generation Chinese immigrants to Canada that are awesome.
Of course, but you also get all the horrible official CCP officials offspring.
Oh yeah, I mean they're everywhere.
Yeah.
My entire family uses traditional Chinese medicine, and my grandpa is 90 with no issues. Oh yeah, my grandpa's 94 and is smarter than I am. Mm-hmm. While your Western medicine gives dementia, lol. This is some weak shit.
It's
dude.
funny,
but it's good.
Funny.
This is good stuff.
And like I said, if you believe in TCM, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that you cannot say it's a cure for COVID.
Somebody, I think this guy may be a follower of somebody that we know quite well because this next one kind of gives it away. He also sent another $5. Appreciate that. It's very sus that the Uyghur genocide, and he put that in quotations, comes from only one source. Guys, Google up Adrian Zenz. Typical CIA propaganda.
Well, okay. First of all, that's bullshit. We know. We personally actually know Uyghur activists, so it's not one source. It's multiple people who are Uyghurs who escaped from that situation. We know people who lived there. We know there's not one source, okay? It's not
just activists, Uyghurs that aren't even speaking out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The people we've talked to are in contact with people that don't even want to give out information.
Sure. You have no idea how big this is. So anyway, it doesn't matter. Move on.
Yeah, Dan Cacciatore. With regard to the shills, thank you, Dan, by the way. Very generous.
Very generous. Thank you so much.
Whether celebrities or expats for China, World War II General George S. Patton Jr. said, moral courage is most valuable and usually the most absent characteristic in men.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
It's very true. And that's another thing that you have to remember is that when you do get a Chinese dissident or somebody in China who speaks up and speaks to power, I've said this so many times, they have so much courage. You have no idea how difficult it is, the amount of sacrifice that they need to, do in order to speak out.
Yeah.
Because everybody who's grown up in a Western civilization or in a country outside of a communist authoritarian kind of regime, they're used to being able to talk shit about their government without any repercussions. They're used to this kind of freedom of speech thing where you can insult someone and expect that nothing's going to happen to you. I mean, it's different if you're in a bar or something, but I'm just saying people are kind of used to this. So when you see a Chinese person criticize the CCP, you think, oh, good for him. He's doing the right thing. But you don't realize what a huge risk that person is taking, just how much courage it takes and how much sacrifice, because not only is he putting himself in danger, he's putting his entire family in danger.
Right.
To do that is almost impossible. And we face the same dilemma very often because, you know, we know that what we do has repercussions on friends and family, and it's tough. It's incredibly tough. But as a Chinese person, it's worse. So please, when you do see people speaking out, when you do see Chinese dissidents, and they go out there and they talk about the Tiananmen Square massacre, or they go out there and they talk about human rights abuses and stuff, treat them with respect because they deserve it.
Correct. Daniel Wilcox says, I remember from the very beginning your blogs on the WHO and where the CCP began. Now all of a sudden Dr. Fauci's lies in the last year is catching up with him. WHO and China. Thanks for the truth. Man, that's all we're here for.
The truth will out. You know, that's the thing. It always does.
Yeah. And unfortunately, people think it's a good Band-Aid to lie in the beginning. Like China constantly does, and look what happens. Wing083, any chance of Malaysia or some other nations, Asian nations, shoot down some Chinese planes? Absolutely not.
No.
For invading their airspace or sink some ships for stealing their fish. Maybe Vietnam, definitely Taiwan. I would say Malaysia, absolutely not. I don't think the Malaysian government is particularly friendly to China, but the problem is a huge chunk of their population is sympathetic to the CCP, the Chinese nationals there.
Yeah, it's tough, you know, and you don't want to engage in a conflict like that because that would basically spark off the next World War. For sure. You know, you don't want to be that person.
No. Koala1203, thank you. David Pay, hey YouTube, I need your help. You are YouTube, right? You're also American. Please tell me why. There's so many Wumaos on YouTube. Remember that shill?
Yeah.
Not from my video.
Yep.
Hey TikTok, I need your help. You're Chinese, right?
Yeah.
Venom Bane, I'm thinking of taking a trip to China once they're fully back opened up. Is your opinion, is it safe for a foreigner to go to China?
Sure. I mean, once they're back up as just a tourist and as somebody who wants to go, I think it's totally fine.
Yeah, keep your head down.
If you're outspoken like we are, no, not a chance. That'd be a stupid thing to do. But for the average Joe, you can go have fun and visit. But, you know, just remember to keep your head down and don't do anything that draws too much attention to you when it comes to politics and things like that.
Right. Koala1203 says the mayor of Budapest should rename one more street near the Chinese University as Tiananmen Square, 1989 Street. Maybe he did. Tenzin Wangcheng is the Wuma. He's back. Thank you so much. Average Indian height is 5'6". Well, it's 5'9" for China. So Chinese are stronger. It makes sense why more Indians lost the fight. Wow!
Now, isn't that racist over there?
Well, what do you expect?
I mean, that's,
you guys want to
that's
see
the
actual
problem.
racism.
Yeah, actual racism. Take a look. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll just get some Gurkhas to come say hi.
Black Halo 6, bro spent his paycheck on that.
He
did. Jason JK, thank you very much. Big Willie, 21207. I'm sure you mentioned it, but I had a comment in earlier podcast of yours mentioned the state of Chinese hospitals. So when the report of 3 sick employees going to the hospital causing the lab leak came out, it made sense. And it absolutely does make sense, doesn't it?
Yep.
Cayman L, you should try showing real life footage proofs of everything that you discuss, like Uyghur camps. Will be hard to do and balance, but will have enormous effect on people new to the channel. Yeah, we could. I mean, there's tons of stuff out there. Yep. We're not really covering it right now. You guys are mentioning it in Super Chat, so we can't pull stuff up live. Sure. A lot of people think this live show, we can just like randomly pull stuff up.
It's a bit tough. Yeah. We prepare our materials just before the show usually because we want to keep it bleeding edge up to date, you know?
David Pay again says, you won't get arrested in Israel for criticism. They rate 70 out of 100 on the freedom scale, by the way. Okay. Tong Fan. Thank you. Sheldon Cox says CCP be like, we have a low birth rate and everything is more expensive. 2 children isn't enough. We need a solution. 3 children.
Yeah, that is something it's crazy. It's like it's last minute, and it happens a lot in China when things are put off, and it's due to procrastination.
Yeah,
this is why we see a lot of issues happen in China. Is because people just. In order to save face, they would rather not deal with a certain problem. And so things are just pushed, like they'll sign off on something to say, yeah, it was inspected, that elevator was inspected, just get out of here, just continue on. And then eventually when something crops up, it's like, hang on a second, because he didn't maintain that elevator, it dropped down and it killed somebody. All of a sudden, all elevators need to be inspected in the town. It's just the way it goes. There's always a knee-jerk reaction, and this is a knee-jerk reaction to the one-child policy not working out.
Yeah, correct. It's going to be a demographic collapse, by the way. Very bad implications. In Hot Water says, how many more monsoons can the Three Gorges Dam take? Hopefully infinite, so people don't die.
Yeah, we don't want that to fail, by the way, if anyone thinks that's the case.
That's what it sounds like it's implying.
Yeah.
FKDJ, blah, 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 not wanting to cover a story because needing more info. I love this. Here's $50. More people need to think this way. And that's how we operate. We do not knee-jerk jump on things unless we fully understand what's happening. Mm-hmm. Netlux TV. Some love from a very long-time fan. By the way, nearly every person I meet lately where the topic of China comes up knows you guys already, especially in SoCal.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you.
In Hot Water in Austin, Texas, on your bikes for a podcast possible?
Absolutely possible.
Everything is possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alexandra Mora, SerpentZA, I agree with you. Laowhy86 is a peasant for not liking tea. We Portuguese brought it to England.
Mm-hmm.
It's just life. I don't judge it. I just don't like the taste.
You got to put the kettle on for a cuppa, you know?
Yeah.
The entire British Empire was built on tea.
It's funny because they might think you're like that, but you don't even drink tea.
Occasionally I do.
Skelly Bones. He doesn't drink tea.
I do occasionally.
I've never seen you drink tea.
Yeah.
Skelly Bones. Have you guys responded?
Sorry, you know, my dad once tried to convince me that the best thing to do on a hot day is take a flask of hot tea.
Your dad?
Yeah. At
what
some
is he,
point,
Chinese?
I don't know why this happened, but this is a very long. It's a memory from my childhood, and I was real thirsty, and so my dad had this flask of hot tea. And, you know, just tea with milk kind of mixed in a flask. You can imagine it, right? Really hot, like piping hot. And he's like, it had one of those little lids that you pop off. You know, so like a little cup. It used to have a handle. He's like, drink this. And I'm like, it's hot. He's like, the best way to quench your thirst on a hot day is to drink hot tea. I'm like, what's going on? He only did that once.
Oh, okay.
I think it was
Maybe
an
he's
excuse.
Trolling.
I think it was an excuse because he didn't have like any water or anything. Okay. But I was like, are you kidding me?
I was about to say, that is the most Chinese thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Absolutely.
And I love you, Mr. Serzel. It's just, wow, that's crazy stuff.
I have this friend as well, and this guy's a little bit of an artist, right? And I used to go over to his place, and he loved tea. He's full-on British, you know, because in South Africa, you get quite a mix. This guy's like more British than a British person. So he'd sit there and he'd mix a pot of tea all the time. And always make fun of him because, you know, it'd be my turn to go. We'd be messing around on computers, and like he'd go make the tea or I'd go make the tea. Because, we used to drink tea and mess around on computers. It sounds very lame. Okay, but yeah, that's between when we weren't drinking beer and being drunk and messing around on computers. Anyway.
That can be lame too.
Yeah, it can. It's possible. Not normally, but anyway, the thing is, so whenever I'd go make the tea, he's like, you didn't let it draw enough. And I'd be like, come on, man, what is it? An artist like you, what is it going to do? Draw a portrait? He's like, he used to get so pissed off at that for some reason. I did it every time, and it never got old. Yeah, because he'd sit there and put like 6 or 7 tea bags in a pot, you know, with hot water, and let it draw. And that was his thing. It's like, we're going to let the tea draw.
What, does he want to get high? You just wanted more caffeine, you know?
Well, no, it's the flavor. It's all about the flavor.
Oh, okay.
You know, used.
It's gotta be caffeine as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it'd always be tea and biscuits. Anyway,
this is the most boring conversation.
Absolutely,
ever.
But yeah,
boring conversation anyway.
yeah. Let's continue. Sorry about that.
No, I think it's a good insight. Scranton viewers went up, so apparently you guys love talking about gosh darn tea.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good topic.
Scranton Beats. When I lived in Taiwan 10 years ago, there was an electronic subculture of taike. I know taike. I used to live in Taiwan. Very similar to Shamate. Yeah. Very, very similar to Shamate. I actually forgot to make that tie-in.
I wonder if it's actually
it probably stole it from Taiwan.
Yeah, because you see that a lot of subcultures from Korea and Japan and stuff get taken over in China, but always like 10 years too late.
Scranton Beats, you may have just like uncovered this entire thing.
Yeah.
It's probably taike.
Probably taike.
Rum Runner, ignore the fake Tibetan Tenzin. Oh yeah, he claims he's Tibetan.
Yeah.
I'm American, I speak more Tibetan than he does.
Nice.
By the way, visit Dharamshala, India when you can.
Okay.
Saptarshi Sengupta, Tenzin is ironic using a Tibetan name.
Right.
Lol. David M, I'm riding. Ninja's only 300cc, but it can move.
Yeah.
They're coming out with the 400, eh?
Yeah.
Can't wait to go to Taiwan. Thanks for the bike videos. You got it. Alexander, how's your knee after the doctor pushed the kneecap back into place? Don't remind me. Sounds horrific.
Let's do one more.
It's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty bad. It still hurts sometimes. Mike Huder, slowly thank you very much, Mike.
Oh, that's very, very, nice. Very, very generous as usual. Thank you.
Slowly recovering from my bad Daniel dumbbell-induced eye roll headache. Cheers, guys. Glad I made the live show today.
Should probably change it to Dumb Shill, to be honest.
Dumb Shill is probably the best name.
I think you could probably do that, yeah. Anyway, let's move on to Worldview, where we talk about what's happening in the world, specifically with regards to China. Mm-hmm. Now, guys, Tiananmen Square massacre anniversary is coming up tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, today in Chinese time. So
yeah. So we just wanted to take this time to remember this massive event, and this was a turning point for China, and this is where China could have gone one way, but
it's where they made the decision.
Yeah, it could have gone one way, and it was looking very promising, but it went the other way. Okay, and this is the result of what happened. China went into a terrible dark period, and it was opening up and things were looking good, and then it kind of got shut down and it kind of went into a dark period again, and it slowly opened up again, and we're seeing kind of history repeat itself. Mm-hmm. But we just wanted to show a couple of iconic photos of the protesters who wanted freedom.
And I wanted to answer a question that we get all the time.
Sure.
And that is, what does the average Chinese person in China think of the Tiananmen Square massacre? So we've probably addressed this before, but originally no one even knew about it, okay? Nowadays, people think because it's blocked, because it's censored, they don't know the sacrifice that the students gave. These thousands, upwards of 10,000 students that were murdered by the Chinese government. They don't know about the sacrifice because it was censored, right? A lot of people do know about it now, and what the Chinese government has done, they took a different approach. Instead of denying it happened, they do downplay the numbers, but
they victim blame.
They victim blame. They said these were just a bunch of crazy students. So one of the most heartbreaking things you can hear from young Chinese people that know this is that they will look at these photos and say these are crazy dissidents,
bad people.
They were bad people. That's what you often hear. Is they're just Huaidan.
Yeah.
So they're just people that would shit stirrers basically, and they didn't care about China. They didn't care about anything. They were losers.
Yeah, selfish losers.
Right. They ignore the fact that a huge population of them were very educated. And inspired to want democratic change for China. So it'll break your heart to hear that, and unfortunately that's the way narrative has gone. But that doesn't mean that we can't remember the sacrifice that they gave for China and the world.
That's something that you said, it is heartbreaking, because the narrative, I saw it shift as I stayed in China longer and longer. Like you said, from people not knowing that it existed to people defending what the government did, saying that it's good that they put these protesters down because these protesters were just causing trouble, and they were killing military personnel, and they were destroying the buildings and everything, and
China was on an upwards path, and they were trying to make it bad, and they were trying to let in the Americans and let in Western powers.
Exactly. So
you'll see in private conversations with some of the people that we brought up before, some of the Shill type people, they also defend it. It's a net positive for them. And it's disturbing.
It's very disturbing.
Right. Yeah. Well, we did want to shed some light on something you can do if you're in the California area.
Oh, yes. Now, we actually have a video which is called, China's going to hate what we found in the desert.
Very viral, actually.
Yeah.
And we found something in the desert, which is really cool, on a motorcycle trip.
It's the Yermo Liberty Sculpture Park. Now, this has been set up by some, Tiananmen Square victims, dissidents, that kind of thing.
Chinese people,
set up by Chinese people. And it's basically a tract of desert land. It's really to get there is a bit of a trek.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and it's on the way to Vegas.
Yeah.
It's still in California.
Yeah, just before.
Yermo.
Yermo, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's such a name.
It is a name. And what they do is they set up sculptures there. They've got a Tiananmen Square. They've got a Tank Man sculpture. They've got a
really cool
64, 6'4".
I like it. In that kami font.
Yeah, to remember the Tiananmen Square massacre. And they've set up a new thing, the CCP virus.
Just got finished today.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a picture of Xi Jinping as a coronavirus with death. And Chinese people set this up in the desert
Chinese people did this, by the way, so don't try to say it's racist or something.
Don't even get out of here.
It's Chinese people set this up.
It doesn't even
for
matter.
Chinese people, for the world.
CCP virus is correct.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Chinese people set this up for a reason, and that is to commemorate, just like it's next to the Tiananmen Square monuments. So that's the 6'4" thing. They set this up to commemorate the victims of the coronavirus worldwide, not just in China, but worldwide, because it is in general the fault of the Chinese government. Yeah. So if you want to show your support, they're going to have a vigil there tomorrow. If you read the dates there.
Yeah, I'll just read the whole message.
Sure.
It says, "Dear Mr. Hopefully this message finds you well. We sincerely invite you to visit the Liberty Sculpture Park at 5 p.m. on June the 4th. 2021, to commemorate the 32nd memorial of June 4th Tiananmen Democracy Movement. We also celebrate the groundbreaking for a new memorial hall of the victims of communism. The Honorable Congressman and Co-Chairman of Congressional Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission, Republican Chris Smith, will attend and speak at the event. Event contacts Bob Fu is 267-265-6087. Jane Kim is 425-535-8869.
But sorry, I think rep means representative.
Oh, rep. It's not Republican?
I don't think so.
What? Yeah, representative. Sorry, you see, that shows you how much I know about American politics.
Just didn't want to make this partisan.
Okay, so representative.
This is not political at all.
Anyway, I apologize. Anyway, you can see there's a couple more numbers you can call here. They're all Chinese names. It's been set up by Chinese people.
The link's down below.
Yeah, the link is down below. And I guess they're unveiling the virus sculpture.
A bunch of our friends will be there.
Yes.
Our job, what we can do instead of we've done our piece there, but we would have gone there, but there are certain reasons that we cannot go tomorrow. But that being said, our job here is to put it out there for you guys.
It's very simple why we can't go, because we can't let people know our movements. The CCP is trying to shut us down through their dastardly shills and through any means
it's
necessary.
Happened before. It's happened before.
Cannot let people know. Oh, we're going to be here at this time at this place. So that's why we won't be there.
It's happened before, and it's not something we wish to repeat.
Yeah. So guess what, though? We are totally in support of this, and if you have,
our friends will be there.
If you can make it to this tomorrow.
Show your support. Show your support for the survivors of the Tiananmen Square massacre, and also to show your support for the people that died of coronavirus.
Yeah, exactly.
And the victims of communism in the CCP. Show your support for your Chinese brethren. Everyone there is going to be able to speak English. It's not just people coming from China.
No,
it is Chinese dissidents, but you should show your support as well.
Absolutely. So if you can, we do have friends that are going there that will be sending us photos and stuff. So we'll be able to show you kind of how it went down if you can't make it. But if you can get there, go show some support.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah.
And we endorse this message.
Yeah, we do. 100% endorse that message. Cool.
Sorry. Questions and answers. You got to do your little... Do we have something else?
No, you just left a very long blank piece
at
the end. You just did it, though. I'm just saying, okay, now it's time for questions and answers, where we answer your questions and you question our answers. Okay, let's get through. We don't have too many left.
We rarely have people questioning our answers, but when you do, we love it.
Yeah.
I don't actually know. Don't ever question our narrative. Moo Wow Big Green. You retracted your message, so thank you.
Thank you.
Wing083, what do you think is the best way to make your tea? He doesn't drink tea.
No, definitely put the milk in the cup first, okay? Because I like milk with my tea. It's got to be a little bit. I prefer English breakfast tea. I'm not one of those Earl Grey guys or, whatever, Prince this and that and the next thing. You know what I mean? It sounds posh and everything, but basically just any old sort of English breakfast tea. Milk first, throw the tea bag in the cold milk, because it's the pikey way to do it. Throw your hot water in there, let it draw. Or
I was going to say, if you're going to have anything, it's going to be the quickest and easiest way to do it.
And no sugar.
Oh, no sugar. Yeah. I don't like sugar.
Yeah, and that's how you do it.
Cool. Okay, fair enough. What about a lactose intolerant person like myself?
You can probably get almond milk.
I do drink almond milk.
There we go. Yeah. So, or just without
coconut milk's good too. Might be kind of refreshing. Rum Runner, what do you think of John Cena's bootlicking? You mean John Cena?
Yeah.
His movie bombed in China regardless. # karma.
It didn't. It got massive amounts of the box office. 125 million or something?
It's actually lower than average.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Surprised. Who would have thought the 9th Fast and Furious movie wouldn't do well?
Who's watching that?
I don't know.
Who's watching that? It's the same people are watching
As car guys, I've got to say that it's kind of disappointing because it just gets more and more outlandish. The last one that I try to watch...
I only watched the first... No, I watched the first two.
Had some ridiculous things about them flying cars and jumping over submarines and weird... I don't know. They always come up with some random thing which... Okay, let's put a car in a scene. What can we do? Make it do next? I don't know. Put it underwater. I don't know. Put it in the sky. Put it in a tree. Whatever. As long as there's a car in it, people are going to watch it, you know?
I always thought it was just a huge ad for Corona beer.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like Vin Diesel going like, family, and he's like drinking Corona
Remember
beer.
Our friends in Guangdong, the motorcyclists?
Oh, they love that shit, didn't they?
Yeah, that's the thing though. I thought that was charming when they invited us to their bar, but they only served Corona, and they kept playing that See You Again song because Paul Walker just died. And remember, they kept saying that if you look at me from a certain angle, I look like Paul Walker.
So they put it on for you.
No, that's all they do.
Yeah.
Fast and the Furious is their culture.
Yes.
It's their subculture. Yes.
Remember we talked about, like, in the beginning of this episode, that they lean all in.
Yeah.
If you're going to be riding bicycles, you're wearing that spandex and that flip hat.
Yeah.
All the time.
That's
always. You now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I mean... bless their hearts, though. I love
bless their hearts. Love the guys. I just think it's very funny.
They certainly gave us a lot of Corona that night. Sheesh.
Oh, absolutely. Sheesh. All right. Yeah. J-Man Nice Guy 1492 says, I miss Guanxi Corner. Roll Guanxi Corner.
Oh, yeah. We got a little Guanxi Corner. I think I may have taken that out.
Crap. I'm sorry.
I mean...
Roll something else. Give him a cotton.
What is that? Okay, we'll give you a little...
Give him a 2 sessions as well.
Okay, manners. Okay, sorry about that. I'll bring it back.
So he says, I wanted to ask, in China, are there wedding engagement rings common? Yes, nowadays.
Yes.
My Chinese girlfriend doesn't know what an engagement ring is. What? What?
No, that's a lie.
That's something you'll hear about constantly.
She's probably just trying to like save your bank account and your feelings.
Or she's trying to say afterwards when he doesn't get her one, she's like, I was just trying to be polite.
You know what I found quite interesting the other day is my wife and I, we celebrated our anniversary. Like,
he said, I did notice your wives wear rings. Yeah.
So anyway, the thing is, we celebrated our anniversary, and I was like, okay, and so like, oh, it's 5-year anniversary, and she's like, no, it's not 5, it's 6 years. I'm like, no,
here we go.
Because, well, I mean, here's the thing, like, I'll be completely honest with you, I'm really bad with dates, so I knew my anniversary is coming up, and I'm like, holy crap, what day is it? I don't know. So I actually had to go dig up my marriage certificate, and then I could see the day, and I'm like, okay, now I know, saved, and I put it in my calendar so I'll never forget, and it reminds me constantly. Anyway, so the thing is, I knew the date now, so I could say it exactly, because, I was also not sure. Is it 5 years? Is it 6? Is it 4 years? Whatever. No, it's 5 years. I double-checked, because sometimes you lose track of times. Even the most important things. I forgot my own birthday once, okay? Just how it goes, all right?
Yeah, I remember that, actually.
I forgot my parents' birthdays, and I do this a lot, so anyway. Not to say it's not important, but, So the thing is, she's like, no, it's 6 years. I'm like, no, it's 5. It's according to our marriage certificate. It's like, no, that's just paper, That's just a paper. It's not as important as like the engagement. Like when you get engaged to get married, at least to her, not saying it's all Chinese people, that means that you're now pretty much married. You know what I mean? So it starts from there.
Yeah, to sum up what you said is very important. And he said his girlfriend doesn't want an engagement ring. She sounds awesome, dude. Cherish her. Cherish her.
I sold my CB400 to buy my engagement ring. Back in the day,
I can't even bring up my story. It's too bad.
Yeah, it's you got to understand, especially back then when I got married, I was poor as dirt.
I was pretty poor.
Yeah. So that's how it works.
Not that we're wealthy now. But
no,
a lot
but
better
I could have not had to sell my prized motorcycle to buy an engagement ring. Is what I'm saying.
It's because we saved.
Totally worth it, by the way. Totally worth it. Yeah.
Anyway, Subculture Sengupta, irony because most of the soldiers who fought the PLA in June 2020 were Indo-Tibetan border police, ethnic Tibetans who work for the Indian army. So he's fighting against the Wumao. Right. Don't worry, Subculture. We know that guy's full shit. Don't worry. He's just a fake.
He's just
Tibetan.
there to press buttons,
Yes. Meanwhile, Big Green says, great doc, China's vanishing Muslims on Vice YouTube. Actually, a great video. I love that video. Footage of Xinjiang outside City Square and shows kindergartens. Had to edit the vid title. Vice is a weird mixed bag. Some of their stuff is great. Some of their stuff is garbage. HK, crap. There it is. Oh, sorry. Hong Kong Kalun Tong says, in German, Wumao.news, CCP failed with poverty. Oh, interesting.
That's interesting.
Black Halo 6, I do hope it is not crashed by crazies. You mean the event? Don't worry, there'll be plenty of dissidents there and people that support democracy.
You have to understand, this is America, right?
Yeah.
You can't, and we were having a conversation about this. Why hasn't that place been vandalized?
Right.
Because
so we're talking about the desert.
Yeah, the desert monument Liberty Sculpture Park thing. And if you think about it, you do see the Wumaos and like nationalists. They will on American soil and in Canada or whatever. They will go and tear down Lenin walls. They will deface Hong Kong democracy protester people.
Just blew
and stuff.
smoke in my face. Sorry.
Oh, okay. They'll do that kind of thing, but why haven't they gone out to like destroy their sculptures and spray paint them and stuff? And I think, first of all, it's too much effort because you have to actually go all the way to the middle of the desert to do it. It's probably why they did that.
Yeah, for sure.
Second of all, this is America, okay? The dissidents there, who knows what they are into? Who knows if they're armed or not? You don't know what's going on. You can't just walk into someone's property, which, by the way, on the entrance to the property, it says, no communists allowed. It's actually in Chinese and English. No communists allowed. So you can't go into someone's private property and start damaging things because you'll actually face repercussions.
Right.
So whether it's like violence or being arrested or whatever, you can't just go and do it. So I think it's safe.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to answer that. Yeah. And again, I think literally if you can find it in your heart to go support it, this is not a monetary thing. No. Just go there, show up, take some photos, spread the word, right?
Yeah.
The more the better, because then you think about it, we can expand this. This place is huge. Yeah. There's a lot of room for extra stuff, and I'm sure they're all ears about ideas that you have about putting down there too.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, we'll go back, which you won't know when.
Yeah, we'll go back in our own time.
Yes. Sheldon Cox says, when I lived in China, old dudes on a motorcycle came right next to me and asked me to get on. Where would they have taken me?
those are just motorcycle taxis.
Yes. However, sometimes you will get let out into the middle of nowhere, and then they'll hose you down for money.
Yeah, they will.
Baby Vasa, that happens in Beijing quite a bit. Oh, and in Gansu, my friend got held at knife point on one of those things and then robbed.
Right.
Baby Vasa, lie and deny long enough until the truth is no longer relevant, then tell the truth. Yep, that is the CCP way. Yeah. Most will never notice the correction, but will remember the lie.
That does happen a lot.
It does. J. Leo says, Winston, besides Geography Now, South Africa, and Flag Friday, South Africa, there's also Filmography Now, South Africa. That's their new channel, yeah. A YouTube spin-off channel of Geography Now run by Barb's staff, Random Hannah. I know her. She's pretty cool. From the show. What do you think of all 3 shows? I follow all those things.
I don't know anything about them.
I love all
I
their
watched
stuff.
the Geography Now thing with C-Milk. We had it on here.
Yeah.
And I just commenting on how accurate it was and stuff.
Yeah, it's good. Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about it. From what I saw, it looks good.
Yeah, it's great. I watch it all the time. David Nassa, so there's now evidence of Wuhan lab leak coming out. What do you guys think about it? We've already talked about that.
Yeah.
Yves Gabriel, thank you. Mr. Keys, I think I'm being honeypotted. The sex is great, but I wish I could send somebody more fun because this guy is lame.
What's going on?
What did I just read?
No idea.
You know what my brain just did? It reminded me of that guy sleeping in a lake on his bed and a watermelon falls out. That's
right,
what my brain just did.
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, Craig Prescott, my late grandmother is very angry with Winston. What?
Yeah.
Teabag first, then hot water, mashed for a minute. And I heard you're not supposed to mash it because it makes it all acidic. Pretty sure.
Depends. It's all about preference. That's what I love about tea is there's infinite combinations.
You don't even love tea. You're full of shit.
No, you don't understand. You could put like 1 teaspoon of sugar, half a teaspoon of sugar. You could put no sugar. You could put this much milk. You could put a splash. You could put half a cup of milk.
One might say you could do that with coffee.
And you've got different, but you don't have different tea bags with coffee. And guess what? You can actually mix them together if you want. How about a little bit of Earl Grey with some English breakfast? Now we're living on the edge. Okay? You never know. And depends on how much. You might just dip that tea bag for like a second. That's my special blend. No one else knows. And they'll have that little hint. Is this Earl Grey? Is this English breakfast? I don't know.
Keep them guessing.
Yeah, exactly.
I
literally only know those 2 kinds of tea. No, I'm just kidding.
I have to be honest with you guys. Today is the second time in my entire life that I've seen Winston drink tea.
Yeah.
So don't be fooled.
This is not even tea.
It is. It's just...
pure leaf, real brewed tea, never from powder, no sugar, unsweetened black
The fact
tea.
that they have to say it's never from powder is a little worrying.
Well, I mean, like the Taiwan milk tea stuff, it contains neither milk nor tea.
That's the shit kind. The real brands have both. You know. Anyway, she said we didn't finish the late grandma's recipe.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Add a dash of milk, not sea milk.
Yeah.
We could put condensed milk in there. Who's to say you can't?
Hong Kong people do. That's
They do.
The whole tea. It's all about condensed milk. Yeah.
Keep up the good work, lads. And shout out to the Milk Tea Alliance.
Absolutely. Milk Tea Alliance.
Cool. That's it, guys.
Yeah. Once again, thank you to everyone who's joined us here. And thank you for being a part of such an important conversation. We really are dealing with a big thing over here. We've got a lot of forces against us trying to shut us down and trying to silence us, like those petty people that go out and try to slander us and attack our character. And remember, this is a good sign. When somebody is going out and attacking your character and not your argument, that means that you're on the money. That means that what you're saying is true. And they are afraid of us. They're incredibly afraid of our opinions and our experiences because we are a threat to them. It's just one of those things, guys.
Yeah.
So when you see more and more... look, I've been dealing with this personally for years. Hate websites against me. SerpentZA exposed videos and people trying to go after my character all the time. Yeah, and you as well. We experience this a lot. You know that you're on the money because this stuff comes and goes in waves, right? You see it a lot. And right now, we are doing a lot of damage to the Chinese propaganda machine, and they want to shut us down. So stick with us. You'll see. You'll be able to judge with your own eyes and your own ears and your own minds as to what we're saying is true or not. That's entirely up to you. But we're so happy to have you here.
Yeah, I want to leave you guys right before we go with one last question to you that I want to pose to you, the audience. Very important. I want you guys to think about this before the next episode, and you maybe will have an answer for me. How about my ponytail? Catch you later.
Oh, wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We got 2 more
David
questions.
Pay
Very
says,
quickly.
no milk and tea. And then Lexi Red says, have you guys heard of Rule of Law Foundation who helped the Chinese girl escape? We have not, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. I'm going to try not to cut myself off